Chapter 2207. Yun Zhongli was in a hurry. His gaze was solemn as he gestured with his hand. How is Su-yi? Has he woken up? Immediately, Yu Wugo ordered the unrelated people to leave, leaving only Yu Ning, and those who knew the situation. Su-yi did not wake up during this period, but there was a flash of light. Then Wang Shanwu and Su Jingyuan were released. Now, Wang Shanwu and Su Jingyuan are both in Yu Clan's secret place. Shangwu is heavily injured, and Jingyuan's soul is also damaged. I'm afraid it will take some time for them to recover. Yun Zhongli nodded and said softly, Then what about Su-yi? Did he faint again? At this time, Yu Wugo already knew Su Xiaoshuai's true identity through Yu Ning. Yu Wugo nodded silently. Su-yi and Little Handsome, Su had ventured into the Nightmare Sea alone, so no one knew what had happened. Looking at Yun Zhongli's anxious appearance, the second clan leader of the ancient sect was also at a loss, and said seriously, Phoenix God is accompanying Su-yi personally in my room. Clan leader, please go in and take a look. However, I feel that Su-yi's soul pressure is very faint, as if his soul is wandering between heaven and earth. It is extremely strange, Yu Wugo added before leaving. Yun Zhongli's gaze trembled, and a bright light flashed in the depths of his eyes as he said softly, What did he experience in Nightmare Sea? After saying that, Yun Zhongli went to take a look at Yun Zhongli and Wang Shangwu before entering Yu Wugo's room. As soon as he entered the room, a blazing aura rushed towards him, and Yun Zhongli raised his chin, his heart filled with awe. Lord Phoenix God, I want to come in and see Su-yi, Yun Zhongli said respectfully. After that, a graceful and moving female voice sounded out from the inner room. It was as smooth as water as she said, Come in. Entering the room, Yun Zhongli saw Bodhi Gu standing gracefully. Its body was light and graceful, and its face was like the bright moon, extremely beautiful. Especially the Bodhi Gu, whose cultivation level was the same as Little Handsome Su's, was in the demon domain realm. However, he did not dare to ask too much. He quickly shifted his gaze away and looked at the unconscious Su-yi. He asked, Lord Phoenix God, when will Su-yi wake up? Handsome Su sat beside Su-yi with his round body, frowning. Bodhi Immortal, and I can sense that boss's soul is drifting between heaven and earth. He might even be in a different dimension from us, Handsome Su said, feeling a little uncomfortable. Not in the same space plane? Wouldn't that be an out-of-body experience? If a martial artist's 3 souls flew out of their body, what was the difference between that and death? Sensing Yun Zhongli's concern, the Bodhi venomous insect squinted its beautiful eyes and said with a comforting smile, Don't worry, Patriarch Yun. Although my master's soul is ethereal, he still has a strong connection with his body. The only problem is how to wake Master up. Yun Zhongli heaved a sigh of relief. Handsome Su's voice suddenly sounded, What I'm worried about is that he doesn't want to wake up. I can feel that boss is having an endless dream. When he wakes up, we can only wait and see when he will finish his dream. How long will it take? Yun Zhongli asked. If it's short, it will be now. If it's long, it will be hard to estimate. Handsome Su touched his chin and said, Soul was the most ethereal thing in the world. Even a divine beast like him could not control soul energy. After thinking for a long time, Yun Zhongli looked at Bodhi Immortal. The latter's soul energy was exquisite and powerful. He, who was half a step away from Yuan Tian realm, could tell at a glance that she was a soul-type barbarian beast. Lord Bodhi Immortal, do you have a good plan? Bodhi Immortal paced back and forth in front of Su-yi's bed and said softly, Lord Phoenix God, Patriarch Yun, what does Master care about the most? Su Xiaoshuai turned around and made eye contact with Yun Zhongli. He said in a low voice, Boss, other than the mysterious bell in his heart, it's also related to Man Cheng, his grandpa, his parents, and his lover. But Su-yi is also in a coma, and when Fu and Jing are missing. Who can wake Su-yi up? Yun Zhongli said with a troubled expression. Bodhi Immortal curled his lips and said casually, Su Jingyuan is fine. He will recover in a few days. Bodhi Immortal knew that he was the one who planted the goo in Su-yi's body. If Su-yi could not wake up, it would be because of the sadness in his heart. It had nothing to do with Su-yi. What about Won? Has she woken up? Handsome Su suddenly remembered. Both of them had fainted. If Su-won could wake up, then Su-yi would definitely wake up as well. At this moment, Su-won had indeed woken up, but her body was shackled by the essence blood of the ice Luan. She could not come out unless she refined it. Yunj only looked at the Phoenix God and then at Bodhi Immortal. He said, when the ice Luan true God sent Wonner out, she mixed the last drop of essence blood with her. Wonner is cultivating this essence blood in seclusion. The ice Luan true God is really smart. She even left something behind for Wan. Not only did she leave something behind for Wan but she also left something behind outside. Handsome Su raised his eyebrows and laughed softly. Yin Zhongli asked anxiously as if he had been electrocuted, what do you mean by leaving something behind outside? Handsome Su immediately recalled the image he saw in the Ice Luan divine realm. Duanmu Xiaoman brought Duanmu Qingtian to the burial frost ground to seek help from the Ice Luan split soul to heal Duanmu Qingtian's injuries. I remember that woman is called Duanmu Xiaoman. She seems to be related to Boss. Yin Zhongli was delighted and nodded. That's right. That's right. With Palace Master Duanmu's help, Su-yi will definitely wake up safely. I will go to the Imperial Palace now. Boom! Yin Zhongli ran out of Yu Wugo's room like a gust of wind. While everyone was still in shock, he said to Yu Wugo, Wugo, I will leave the matters of the ancient sect to you for now. I will go to the Imperial Palace. I will leave the matters of Jing Yuan and Shang Wu to you. You must wake them up as soon as possible. Why are you going to the Imperial Palace? Yu Wugo was puzzled. Yin Zhongli did not have time to explain and rushed out of the Yu family like a ball of fire. At the entrance of the Yu family, the four family heads were still looking inside. At this moment, Yin Zhongli floated out like a phantom. The four of you, follow me to the Imperial Palace. Then, the four threw down the gifts in their hands and followed Yun Zhongli to the space teleportation portal. Boom! The brightly lit procession that stretched like a golden dragon filled the entire Yu family's mountain boundary. The unprecedented bustling scene made people's hearts surge. In the dark blue night sky, 4 rays of primordial chi light streaked across the crescent moon. When everyone looked up, they thought that they had seen wrongly. Humph! Is that the family head leading the 4 family heads? Where are they going? I don't know. It looks like they are in a hurry. Only Su-yi would be able to make the family head so concerned about him, right? Thousands of eyes were filled with longing. There was an endless stream of people who wanted to enter the Yu family. Chapter 2208. The news of Yin Zhongli leading the 4 patriarchs to leave the ancient sect spread like wildfire throughout the Yu clan. Half a day later, the sky began to turn gray and the stars gradually disappeared. The morning light was faint, but there were still countless people lining up on the vast Yu clan's mountain range. The importance the Yun and Yu clans placed on Su-yi made it clear to many that he would definitely become the first son-in-law of the ancient sect. The disciples who bullied Wang Shangwu were now filled with regret. Mu Renjie returned to the limitless sect to report the situation after coming out of the Black Sea. Among the punishments Yin Zhongli gave to everyone, he especially praised Lu Ti. If Lu Ti hadn't brought Su-yi into the ancient sect would have been conquered by the Long clan. Therefore, after everyone in the Lu clan was punished, Lu Ti was pardoned and incorporated into the Yu clan. Even if Lu Ti's cultivation wasn't high enough, he was still made an elder of the Yu clan. Lu Ti borrowed Su-yi's prestige, and in the blink of an eye, he became the only elder with a different surname. In the Yu clan, he was especially respected, and he could hold his head high. In Lu Ti's heart, he was more grateful to Su-yi than to admire him. In the past 2 days, Lu Ti had been running around for Su-yi, going back and forth between Su-yi, Wang Shangwu, and Su Jingyuan. Seeing that they were all unconscious, Lu Ti was like an ant on a hot pan. In Yuning-er's room, Yuning-er, Shinta Shuang, and Dongfang Yuan were always together. Creak! As soon as Lu Ti entered the room, Yuning-er stood up and asked, How is it Have the patriarchs returned from the Yuqian palace? Lu Ti was a little tired from running. He paused and shook his head. The Yuqian palace is quite far from here. They won't be back so soon. Yuning stared out the window again. She looked even more anxious, and her eyes fluctuated. Elder Lu, why did the patriarchs go to the Yuqian palace to find the Yuqian goddess if Su Yi can't wake up? Shintu Shuang asked softly. The love story between the Skyrider goddess and Su Yi had spread like wildfire during the Heavenly Wind ranking tournament. Yuning, and the others had always lived in seclusion within the ancient sect. How could they know about these famous stories of the heavenly barbarians? As for the even more secretive matter, Su Yi's feat of destroying the sacred mountain and marrying the saintess, they had no way of knowing. Lu Ti looked at the sad Yuning, and said softly, the celestial goddess and Su Yi are in love with each other. The celestial goddess has been famous in Heaven Barbarian for hundreds of years. She fell in love with Su Yi at first sight. Everyone in Heaven Barbarian knows about it. In front of the window, Yuning seemed to have been electrocuted. Her body trembled slightly, revealing her current state of mind. She frantically rubbed her hands on the window frame. Is that so? Shintu Shuang pouted and said, that's true. A guy like Su Yi will definitely be liked by girls wherever he goes. The reason why Big Sister Jing likes him is also because of this. Then, Shintu Shuang rested her chin on her hand. Su Yi's heroic image of a young hero who turned the tide made this little sister admire him again. Big Sister Ning, if that's the case, then you also have a chance. Shintu Shuang suddenly turned her head and laughed. Yuning called out absent-mindedly and immediately walked out of the door. Suddenly, Yuning stood in front of the door and noticed the fluctuation of the array covering the Yu family's mountain house. The family head and the others are back. With that, the few of them flew towards the inner hall of the Yu family. At this moment, Yu Wugo also sensed the fluctuation of spirit chi from the array. She looked at the horizon with a serious gaze. Yuning, and the others were rushing over from the other side. So fast. The celestial goddess's aura is indeed terrifying. Another half-step Yuan Tian expert. Yu Wugo's eyes were shining. She looked at the sudden surge of icy spirit chi in the sky. It was exactly the same as the spirit chi in front of the rising cloud palace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Above the void, dozens of Yuan chi light rays broke through the heavens and earth. Astonishing soul energy surged towards the inner hall of the Yu family like a huge wave. Boom! In a short moment, dozens of figures suddenly appeared in the inner hall of the Yu family. A familiar moon-white figure slowly floated to the ground. The already hazy Yu family's mountain house became even more hazy like fog. Looking around, Duanmu Xiaoman's expression was ice-cold. Her graceful frost dress slowly dragged on the ground, fluttering even though there was no wind. Every step she took turned into frost. Her lotus-like snow-white arm drew a line in the sky, and a string of beautiful ice crystals suddenly flew out. Immediately, everyone present was stunned. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, no one would believe that there was such a beautiful woman in the world. Duanmu Xiaoman swayed in a white arc and slowly walked towards Yu Wugo. Behind her stood Gua, Luo Wuya, and a group of elders, but Duanmu Qingtian's figure was nowhere to be seen. At this moment, the entire Yu family seemed to have stopped time because of Duanmu Xiaoman's arrival. Where is Su Yi? Duanmu Xiaoman's cold words slowly fell. Without the slightest emotion, perhaps only Su Yi in this world could arouse the heart of this peerless goddess. Hearing the question, Yin Zhongli immediately walked forward. With a heavy gaze, he pointed at Yu Wugo's bedroom and said softly, "Over there. Goddess, please follow me." Her exquisite and delicate figure walked in spirals, accompanied by a refreshing fragrance. When the imperial goddess walked past the people of the Yu clan, everyone came to their senses. Immediately, Yu Wugo also followed at the back of the group silently. Perhaps no one would have thought that Duanmu Xiaoman, who had never cared about worldly affairs, actually had such a powerful aura. What was even more frightening was that Duanmu Xiaoman had specially come for Su Yi. Thinking of this, the eyes of every witness of the Yu family fluctuated again. They were indescribably shocked. Oh my God, there's actually such a beautiful person in this world. She's even prettier than Sister Jing, and Sister Ning, Dongfang Yuan recalled every move of the heavenly goddess, his young eyes filled with surprise. Shintu Shuang immediately knocked on Dongfang Yuan's head. She looked at Yuning, from the corner of her eyes, and said softly, "You're really touching a sore spot. Isn't Sister Ning pretty? The moon outside is rounder, isn't it?" Dongfang Yuan was inexplicably knocked on his head and immediately became dejected. Indeed, how can a person who is worthy of Su Yi be an ordinary person? Yuning smiled bitterly. Her eyes moved slightly, and she also walked towards the inner room. The corridor of the inner room was already crowded with people. Yuning, Shintu Shuang, and the others had arrived late and could not squeeze in. I don't know if they're here to care about Su Yi or to see the heavenly goddess. Shintu Shuang felt injustice for Yuning, and immediately rolled her eyes. Thus, the three of them did not enter. They stood in the corridor with a bustling crowd, quietly waiting for the good news. At this time, everyone was eagerly waiting for the heavenly goddess to wake up the first son-in-law of an ancient sect quickly. Chapter 2209. Inside the room, Yin Zhongli and Yu Wugo were accompanying him. Outside the door were the four patriarchs and the elders. Such a powerful battle array made the surrounding Yu family members incomparably shocked. Whispers of discussion rose and fell one after another, endlessly ringing in the ears. I envy Su Yi so much. If I had half of Su Yi's ability, I would be able to get any stunning woman. Sigh, why is there such a beautiful woman in the world? Su Yi not only has Miss Yunjing, but I heard that the 9 saintesses of the Holy Mountain are also in love with him. Now, our Yu family's Jing, and Miss Ning are also in love with him. He's Su Tianjiao, and he's Su's son-in-law when it comes to picking up girls. Countless pairs of longing eyes stared at the patriarch's room like wolves and tigers. Every Yu family member, regardless of gender, was looking forward to Su Yi waking up. In the face of such high popularity, the 4 patriarchs showed their true colors as the masters of ancient sections. Shintu Yi was the first to stand out. Those who want to talk about right and wrong, get out. Don't disturb Su Yi here. Shintu Yi glared at him and then started to chat with the elders. Shameless dad. Flattering dad. Shintu Shuang pouted, full of resentment. Then the uproar in the Yu family calmed down a little. Dozens of fiery gazes converged on one point at the same time. In Yu Wugo's room. It was the first time handsome Su saw this official wife of his sister-in-law. He didn't have a usual arrogance and domineering attitude and obediently gave up his seat. Duanmu Xiaoman sat down gently. Her gaze fell on the unconscious Su Yi, and a trace of sadness flashed in her eyes. Su Yi, wake up. I'm Xiaoman. Her sparkling eyes were like mist, completely different from the frosty look in front of everyone just now. Xiaoman's warmth and tenderness only belonged to Su Yi. Duanmu Xiaoman's soft hand slowly stroked Su Yi's forehead. Duanmu Xiaoman gently called out Su Yi's name. Under the gazes of the crowd, her poignant and moving back appeared especially beautiful. At this moment, she was no longer the high and mighty Skyrider goddess. She was only Su Yi's sweetheart. Yin Zhongli and Yu Wugo, who were standing behind him, trembled and sighed. Could it be that even inviting the heavenly goddess over would not help? Handsome Su and Bodhi Immortal stood side by side, looking at the cold and arrogant Duanmu Xiaoman. Handsome Su's mood sank to the bottom. He said in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, don't worry. Boss will definitely wake up." What happened to Su Yi? Duanmu Xiaoman stood up in a panic. She stared at little handsome Su and Bodhi Fairy with a haggard expression. Yin Zhongli had already told Duanmu Xiaoman about Nightmare Sea and the general situation within it on the way here. Little Handsome, you are Su Yi's brother. Tell me, what happened in Nightmare Sea? Duanmu Xiaomon's snow-white skin glowed as she asked anxiously. Handsome Su looked up at Duanmu Xiaoman with an unprecedented solemn expression. He said in a heavy voice, Sister-in-law, we passed through Bodigu and Nightmare Sea and arrived at Ice Luan Divine Realm. Patriarch Yin invited you over, because you also have the Ice Luan bloodline. Ice Luan Divine Realm? Duanmu Xiaoman immediately looked at Yin Zhongli. Yin Zhongli said with some shame, Goddess, please don't blame me. I wanted to tell you about the Ice Luan true god, but you rushed over without saying anything when you heard that Su Yi had fainted. It was more direct to let the Phoenix god tell you about the Ice Luan Divine Realm. Continue. Duanmu Xiaoman looked up and took a deep breath as she looked at Handsome Su. Handsome Su also carefully recalled the Ice Luan true god's words. As for the Demon Emperor and the immemorial Great Calamity, Handsome Su briefly explained. In the end, the Ice Luan true god shot out the Ice Luan divine light and opened the exit. Su Yi and Su Won'er both fainted, and Handsome Su brought them out. The strange thing was that Su Won'er was fine, but Su Yi was still unconscious. Wana, where is she? Duanmu Xiaoman was puzzled. A trace of surprise appeared in her cold eyes. Speaking of Su Won'er, Duanmu Xiaoman had met Won'er when she went to Man City to inquire about Duanmu Qingtian's whereabouts. Duanmu Xiaoman didn't expect to meet Won'er in the ancient cloud Immortal sect. She also obtained a drop of blood essence from the Ice Luan true god. Won'er's coma is most likely due to the blood essence. Yin Zhongli replied. Immediately, Duanmu Xiaoman turned around and walked to Su Yi's side. Her voice was soft and gentle as she smiled and said in a low voice, Little slacker, when I bring Won'er here, you'll be awake. After saying this, Duanmu Xiaoman's lips curled into a smile. Her voice became even deeper, carrying a hint of worry. Ruashi and I have been waiting for you. Having said that, Duanmu Xiaoman followed Yin Zhongli out the door. In the Yin family's pavilion, clouds and mist drifted in the mountains and rivers, and colorful clouds filled the sky. Divine birds shuttled between the clouds, and large patches of red clouds seemed to be dyed in blood, reflecting this mystical world. Gee, sensing the ferocious aura that was rushing towards them from afar, the spiritual birds that were well-informed quickly spread out. In front of the pavilion, an old woman looked solemn and anxiously watched the changes in the pavilion. She didn't dare to slack off at all. Yinji, how's the young lady? Yin Zhongli landed first and asked the old woman in a low voice. Yinji was the old woman who brought Su Won'er and Wang Shangwu back to the Yun family in the barbarian demon forest. In the barbarian city, she fought with Duanmu Xiaoman and suffered serious injuries. Duanmu Xiaoman. Yin Ji's eyes trembled, and her heart was filled with shock. She wondered why she was here. Yin Ji's expression changed, and she replied softly, Master! Instantly, Yin Ji's eyes became guarded, and a hint of anger appeared in her dim old eyes. Before she could do anything, a shocking icy energy burst out from Duanmu Xiaoman's body. A moon-white phantom was like a piece of 10,000-year-old ice, and it could freeze 1,000 miles. Suddenly, a low energy burst out from Yin Zhongli's hand, and he shouted at the old woman, Get out of the way! Then, Duanmu Xiaoman's figure appeared at the entrance of the pavilion. Her eyes were cold as she looked down at the people below and said softly, No one is allowed to come in while I'm in seclusion. Master Yin, if you care about your Won'er, do as I say. Yin Zhongli's eyes flickered, and a low sonic boom resounded throughout the place. In the vast fiery mountain range, the voices of the four masters surged. Pass down the order. No one is allowed to come near the Yun family's pavilion. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. The sound waves covered every corner of the ancient cloud Immortal sect. In a short moment, the disciples of the 6 major families raised their heads to look at the Yun family's mountain range. Today, the arrival of the heavenly goddess had put the entire ancient cloud Immortal sect in a state of excitement. Chapter 22:10. The order issued by the Yun family made everyone look forward to it. What kind of earth-shattering changes would happen to the ancient cloud Immortal sect? After half a day, Yuwugo brought the Yu family members to Yunzhongli. The 5 family heads of the ancient sect had the same expression. No one dared to speak, which made Yuwugo a little confused. She kept looking at everyone. Even Yunji, who was guarding the pavilion, had a worried look on his face. There was a fierce ancient aura in the air, and an astonishing cold aura kept seeping out. Yuwugo had a premonition that something terrible was going to happen. Then, Yunzhongli's expression finally changed. He looked away from the pavilion and looked at Yuwugo beside him. "Wugo, is there anything going on with Su Yi?" Yunzhongli rubbed his Qingming acupoint and asked softly. Yuwugo finally breathed a sigh of relief. Even she could feel her soul trembling in such an oppressive atmosphere. She whispered, "Shang Wu has woken up. Thank goodness. He suffered such a serious injury before. Anyone else would have died 1,000 times over." "What about now?" Yunzhongli frowned. Wang Shangwu had the Overlord battle body, a rare human divine body that only appeared once in 10,000 years. If it weren't for the desperate situation in the Dark Sea, Yunzhongli would really want to cultivate Wang Shangwu and make him an expert of the Yun family. If nothing went wrong, Wang Shangwu's cultivation would soon surpass Yun Hanshin's by a large margin. Yunzhongli naturally wouldn't forget that Wang Shangwu had almost died in the desperate situation because of Su Wan'er. Such kindness and such talent made Yunzhongli care more about Wang Shangwu. His flesh was shattered, his bones were almost broken, and his meridians were shattered. Such serious injuries have healed. Don't you think it's miraculous? When Yuwugo said those words, she still had a shocked expression on her face. How'd he heal? Yunzhongli's scalp went numb. When he recalled that Wang Shangwu came out of Su Yi's body, a chill ran down his spine. He felt as if he had seen a ghost. Yuwugo's fair and wrinkled neck swallowed slightly before she continued. After coming out of Su Yi's body, Wang Shangwu's meridians and flesh seemed to have come back to life. His meridians were reconnected, his bones recovered rapidly, and even his flesh and blood were much, much stronger than before. Hearing this, Yunzhongli's eyes lit up. Is this the miraculous aspect of the Overlord's battle body? No. Yunzhongli quickly rejected this idea. He looked at the mountains and rivers of the Yun family at night, and the whistling forests surged like waves. Although the Overlord's battle body is extraordinary and is the pinnacle of humanity, Wang Shangwu's fortuitous encounter is definitely related to Su Yi. After saying this, Yunzhongli's desire to wake Su Yi up became even stronger. Yunzhongli had a premonition that if Su Yi could wake up this time, the situation of the heavenly barbarian continent would change completely. In the dusky night, Yunzhongli's eyes gradually turned cold as he continued to listen to Yuwugo. In the Yu family's secret land, Su Jingyuan's soul energy had already recovered under Bodhi Immortal's many techniques. It was believed that he would wake up soon. Now, only Su Wan'er was left. Rumble. Above the Yun family's pavilion, a loud and clear sound of an ice luan reverberated through the sky, shaking the entire Yun family sky. The huge ice luan phantom instantly turned into icy blue frost energy, and the world was filled with a dazzling blue light, as if it was the sun. A terrifyingly cold temperature instantly enveloped the entire Yun family's pavilion, and an ancient aura spread above the void. The ice luan spread its wings, and the azure divine light once again looked down on the world, and the extreme soul energy swept through the world like crushing dry weeds. True God Ice Luan. It's the true God Ice Luan again. Yunzhongli and Yuwugo turned their heads at the same time and looked at the sky. Their eyes instantly froze, as if they had been petrified. Between the heavens and the earth, the incomparably gigantic ice luan ruthlessly lifted up the scattered frost and snow. The overwhelming energy caused the entire mountain range of the Yun family to be covered in ice and snow. The pure white snow crystals revealed a beautiful white color under the moonlight. Chirp, chirp! The ice lawn spread its wings, and a storm filled the sky. In an instant, the four family heads and Yunzhongli immediately bowed and paid their respects to the ice lawn in the sky, and their eyes were solemn and heavy. In the depths of the space, the traces of spatial ripples that had been created by the collision exploded like a bomb, and icy cracks flashed across like rainbows. It was very miraculous. At this moment, the Yun family had completely fallen and become the ice lawn's world. The blue light was like a divine light, and a vast ancient aura filled heaven and earth. When they looked at Yunji, who was guarding the door, his pale face was filled with horror, and he frantically kowtowed to the ice lawn phantom above his head. "Oh my God, it's the ice lawn! It's the ice lawn again! Our ancient sect has been guarded by the ice lawn for 10,000 years without us knowing." Shintiyi's eyes were filled with amazement, and his mouth was wide open. Even origin domain realm experts like them would be so shocked when they saw a divine beast, let alone others. I finally know why the Long family is so powerful. The divine beast bloodline is too powerful. Dongfang Tong and Jing Yiquang sighed at the same time. Due to the intense soul pressure, Dongfang Tong and the others' hearts and souls trembled, and their breathing began to become chaotic. Roar! In the sky, the ice lawn spread its wings again, and blue frost surged, and the lifelike feathers condensed into another ice lawn phantom. The phantom of the ice lawn, which was thousands of feet long, occupied the entire space, and its screeching resounded throughout heaven and earth. The ice lawn roared, and in the vast blue snowstorm, waves of destructive aura descended upon heaven and earth. The phantom roared ferociously, and under its astonishing power, more than 100,000 people of the ancient Cloud Immortal sect were all stimulated to appear. Dense flames lit up the mountain between the clouds, and in the white snow, the flames flew, and countless fearful eyes stared at the sky. High in the sky, the ice lawn's huge eyes locked onto everyone present, as if it was looking down on thousands of living beings. Yun Zhongli's eyes trembled as he looked at the second ice lawn phantom, and let out an uncontrollable sound of excitement. "That's one. It's one Er's ice lawn phantom." Yun Zhongli's eyes shone with excitement as he pulled Yu Wugo, who was beside him, and shook her continuously. Soon, the two ice lawn phantoms hovering in the sky resisted each other, and then separated, each emitting a sharp screeching sound, and rushed in the east and west. The phantoms finally dissipated, and the enormous pressure that enveloped everyone finally dissipated. The four patriarchs, whose souls were trembling, were still in a daze. At the same time, from the Yun family's pavilion, two beautiful figures floated to the ground at the same time. Duanmu Xiaoman floated out first, followed by Su Wan, which made everyone wipe their eyes, as if they had mistaken her for someone else. The Suwaner in front of them had cherry lips, and her lips were slightly curved. Her elegant face was shrouded in a calm and composed beauty, and she was far more beautiful than before. Chapter 22:11. Suwana smiled and bowed to Yun Zhongli. She said softly, "Father, did you invite Sister Xiaoman over?" She looked around with a gentle gaze. The four patriarchs and Yunji looked as if they were looking at an immortal descending to the mortal world. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak. Yun Zhongli was very excited. He looked at Duanmu Xiaoman with gratitude and said softly, "Ninger, you fell into a coma after coming out of the Nightmare Sea. Fortunately, Father knew about the situation in the Nightmare Sea. Goddess Duanmu and you are fated to be together. You should thank her for this opportunity." Then, everyone in the Yun family, including Yu Wugo, bowed to Duanmu Xiaoman. "Sister, I didn't expect to meet you here after we parted at the barbarian city. You even helped me refine the essence blood of Lord Ice Lawn." Suwana looked at the changes in her body, and her beautiful eyes moved. Yunji, who was behind her, hesitated. He wanted to go forward and say something, but he was ashamed of his attitude towards Duanmu Xiaoman. He didn't dare to go forward for a long time. From his eyes, Yunji's attitude towards Duanmu Xiaoman had changed greatly. Silly child, you're Su Yi's little sister, so naturally you're my little sister. Right now, Su Yi still needs you to save him. Duanmu Xiaoman exhaled. A trace of heaviness flashed across her face. When Su Yi was mentioned, Su Wanner's beautiful face changed. After coming out of the Ice Luan divine realm, she fell into a coma. Brother Su Yi. What happened to Brother Su Yi? Su Wanner's heart fluctuated and her eyes became anxious. After hearing Yun Zhongli's description, Su Wanner's beautiful eyes became misty. She said anxiously, "Father, sister, let's go find Brother Su Yi." Boom! In the snow-colored forest, several vast auras broke through the sky and attracted the attention of tens of thousands of people in the ancient sect. So many things had happened in one night. Ice phoenixes had reappeared in the world, and there were 2 of them. This was the sign that the ancient Cloud Immortal sect was going to prosper. Very quickly, the news of Su Wan refining the Ice Luan's blood essence spread throughout the ancient sect like a whirlwind. As for Su Wanner, the precious pearl of the ancient sect, she became the Ice Luan goddess in everyone's hearts overnight. The mountain forest rose and fell. The families of the various mountain realms found it difficult to sleep. Whether or not Su Wan could awaken Su Yi, everyone was on edge. This would definitely affect whether or not the Yun family would be able to have a life and death battle with the Long family. Within Yu Wugo's room, Duanmu Xiaoman and Su Wanner both stood in front of Su Yi's bed. Under the sparkling light, Su Yi's delicate and pretty face appeared so peaceful. His breathing was steady, and his aura was strong. His long eyelashes carried a hint of liveliness. He did not look like a person who would never wake up. "Big brother Su Yi, Wanner is here." Wanner smiled as she held Su Yi's hand. She knelt on one knee in front of the window and placed the back of her hand on her face to feel the warmth. Seeing that Su Yi did not have any reaction, Su Wanner's eyes gradually lit up. Her nose turned red as she sobbed. "You said that we came out together. Now that Wanner is awake, why aren't you awake?" Suddenly, a hint of excitement flashed through Su Wanner's eyes. She said loudly, "That's right. Wanner has refined the blood essence. Big sister Xiaoman helped me. Wanner is already in the origin ancestor realm. I won't be a burden to you anymore. Wake up and take a look at Wanner, okay?" Su Yi was still silent. It was as if he had fallen asleep. He was quiet and peaceful. "Big brother Su Yi, we still have to return to Man City. Open your eyes and take a look at Wanner." Su Wanner immediately wailed as she lay on Su Yi's body. Su Wanner had never seen such a scene before. In her heart, Su Yi had always been her big brother. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of her, she would have her big brother Su Yi to support her. In the 5 years since she had returned to the Yun family, Su Wanner had always missed her days in Man City. Su Yi had long become a part of her little flesh and blood. In the quiet room, Yin Zhongli, Yu Wugo, Bodhi Fairy, and the others had already left. Only handsome Su and Duanmu Xiaoman remained. In the stifling atmosphere, Duanmu Xiaoman and handsome Su were both gloomy. Hearing Su Wanner's murmur, they felt even sadder. Is it still not working? Duanmu Xiaoman's cold face flashed with a hint of anxiety. "Hey, boss, you've never been like this before. Making a woman cry is not something a man should do." Handsome Su stomped the ground fiercely and was about to walk out. At this moment, an anxious voice came from outside the door. It wasn't loud, but it sounded a little dispirited. Su Wanner, who had heard the voice, immediately wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and looked towards the source of the voice. "Big brother Shangwu. It's big brother Shangwu." Duanmu Xiaoman had seen Wang Shangwu in Man City. Handsome Su was also very familiar with him. He had been soaking in the spirit pool in the dire straits of the Dark Sea. This kid, he's recovered so quickly. Handsome Su's gaze trembled as he saw a tall and burly man with bulging muscles limping in. Wang Shangwu. Duanmu Xiaoman was also clearly shocked by Wang Shangwu's current state. Her lips parted slightly. Wang Shangwu, who was still walking very slowly, glanced at Duanmu Xiaoman. His footsteps also paused, and he immediately nodded. At this moment, Wang Shangwu's muscles were full of cracks. They were like broken porcelain, but there was an invisible but extremely powerful aura. The bulging muscles protected his bones like armor. Compared to before, Wang Shangwu seemed to have swelled up. However, because his injuries had not yet healed, he looked a little dispirited. Big brother Shangwu. Seeing Wang Shangwu wake up, Su Wana rushed up and looked at Wang Shangwu. She pursed her lips tightly and was speechless for a long time. Silly sister, why are you crying? I'm not dead. Wang Shangwu laughed mischievously. He was still as simple and honest as ever, which did not match his godlike appearance at all. Big brother Shangwu, but big brother Sui. Su Wana pouted sadly. Let me try. Wang Shangwu furrowed his brows and walked to Su Yi's side. Suddenly, a ferocious and tyrannical qi gushed out. Immediately, the entire room was filled with a violent wind of divine destruction. Like a golden light that could tear everything apart, it wrapped around Wang Shangwu's body. Brat, wake up quickly. Do you want everyone to wait for you? Wang Shangwu was not good at romance. At this moment, he directly poured a gust of wind into Su Yi's body. Bang! The void energy swept over. Wang Shangwu held back a force and forcefully woke Su Yi up. The huge force was incomparably violent. The tables, chairs, and beds in the room began to shake. Su Yi's body was like a boat in the sea, constantly swaying. Big brother Shangwu, it's useless. Bodhi Fairy said that big brother Su Yi's soul is wandering and has nothing to do with his physical body. Su Wana frowned and said softly. At this time, handsome Su and Duanmu Xiaoman had been observing Su Yi. In the fierce golden light, Su Yi's body was moving, but his aura was also changing. This meant that as long as it was an extremely strong external force, it would be helpful to the unconscious Su Yi. Suddenly, handsome Su remembered the dream talker of the 12 mythical beasts and the Ice Luan's words before it left. A thought appeared in handsome Su's mind. If Su Yi was really a demon king, perhaps Su Yi was now in the world of the mythical beasts. Before the Ice Luan died, it used the power of the mythical beast to stimulate the memories of the demon king in Su Yi's body. Didn't that mean that he had to use the power of the mythical beast to wake up? Maybe it really works. Handsome Su said in a low voice. Duanmu Xiaoman noticed handsome Su's excited expression and asked curiously, "What did you think of?" Chapter 22:12. Silly sister, why are you crying? I'm not dead. Wang Shangwu chuckled. He was still as simple and honest as ever, which didn't match his godlike appearance at all. Brother Shangwu, but brother Su. Su Wana pouted sadly. Let me try. Wang Shangwu frowned and walked to Su Yi's side. Suddenly, a fierce and tyrannical aura surged out. Immediately, the whole room was filled with a violent wind of divine destruction. The golden light that was about to tear everything to shreds wrapped around Wang Shangwu's body. Brat, wake up quickly. Do you want everyone to wait for you? Wang Shangwu wasn't good at romance. At this time, he directly poured a strong wind into Su Yi's body. Bang! The void energy swept over. Wang Shangwu held back a force and forcefully woke Su Yi up. The huge force was incomparably fierce. The tables, chairs, and beds in the room began to shake. Su Yi's body was like a boat in the sea, constantly swaying. Brother Shangwu, it's useless. Bodhi deity said that brother Su Yi's soul is wandering and has nothing to do with his body. Su Wana frowned and said softly. At this time, Su Xiaoshui and Duanmu Xiaoman had been secretly observing Su Yi. In the fierce golden light, Su Yi's body was constantly moving, but his aura was also changing. This meant that as long as it was an extremely strong external force, it would be helpful for the unconscious Su Yi to wake up. Suddenly, Su Xiaoshui thought of the 12 mythical beasts dream talker and the Ice Luan's words before it left. A thought emerged in Su Xiaoshui's mind. If Su Yi was really a demon king, perhaps Su Yi was now in the world of the mythical beasts. Before the Ice Luan died, it used the power of a divine beast to stimulate the demon emperor's memories in Su Yi's body. Didn't that mean that he would also have to use the power of a divine beast to awaken it? Maybe it really works. Handsome Su said in a low voice. Duanmu Xiaoman noticed the excitement on Handsome Su's face and asked, "What's on your mind?" Su Xiaoshui immediately looked at Duanmu Xiaoman seriously and said solemnly, "It's hard to explain the specifics in a short time. You and Wanner both have the Ice Luan bloodline, and I have the Phoenix bloodline. We have an inseparable connection with Boss." "Silly boy, stop." Handsome Su frowned and said to Wang Shangwu. A sharp phoenix cry resounded through the air. A monstrous soul pressure accompanied by blazing flames swept out. Wang Shangwu, who was in front of him, suddenly stopped when he felt the heat wave sweeping over him. His heavy breaths were like bellows in his chest. Big Brother Shangwu, the Phoenix God, said that only Big Sister Duanmu, the Phoenix God, and I can save Big Brother Sui. Suwana looked at Wang Shangwu. Wang Shangwu immediately clutched his chest that he had overexerted. He frowned and said softly, "What about me?" Handsome Su quickly walked up. With a wave of his hand, a huge warm energy enveloped Wang Shangwu. "You go out first. Leave this to us. When the energy rises, you won't be able to stand it." Suwana nodded. She held Wang Shangwu's elbow and said gently, "Big Brother Shangwu, I will definitely bring Big Brother Sui back." After saying that, Suwana walked Wang Shangwu to the door and told him to disperse all the people outside the corridor. Looking back at the three people who were ready, Wang Shangwu touched the scorching energy in his chest and pushed the door open resolutely. After pushing the door open, Yin Zhongli and Yu Wugo immediately greeted him. Yin Zhongli asked anxiously, "How is it? Has Su woken up yet?" Looking at everyone, Wang Shangwu shook his head helplessly. He then told Yin Zhongli about Handsome Su's arrangement. After everyone left, a terrifying beast roar immediately rang out from Yu Wugo's mountain house. It reverberated through the clouds and shook the world. The ancient and terrifying phoenix cry sounded as if it had fallen from the nine heavens. Blazing and azure light rose continuously in Yu Wugo's room. Looking from afar, the entire mountain house looked like a huge red and blue water bag. Around the water bag, circles of spatial ripples kept expanding. In the haze, the vast barbaric light shrunk and expanded. It was incomparably mystical. Throughout the night, the people of the Yu family were on tenterhooks as they watched the movements in the mountain house. The resounding divine beast radiance emitted a boundless radiance. Just looking at it from afar was enough to make one's mind tremble. After retreating, Yin Zhongli stood in a pavilion far away, not daring to look away for even a moment. Yu Wugo, Yuning Wang Shangwu, and the others were also anxiously waiting. "Do you think he can wake up?" Yu Wugo's gaze was fixed on the light ball in the distance. It was like the raging waves in the depths of the sea. The terrifying might that filled the air began to spread. Even with such terrifying energy, Yu Wugo did not dare to guarantee that Su would be able to wake up safely. "He can wake up. How can the person chosen by the Yun family not wake up? This kid's experience is far more complicated than this." Yin Zhongli frowned slightly. At the side, Yuning, and Wang Shangwu also tensed up. They had goosebumps all over their bodies. "Shangwu, quickly go and rest. Your injuries haven't healed yet. You shouldn't work so hard." Yuning kindly reminded. "Thank you, Sister Ning. When I fainted, it was Su who rushed to save me. I hope that when this kid wakes up, I can be by his side." After saying that, he stared at Wang Shangwu in the mountain house. His eyes shone like stars. Yuning sighed deeply. Her eyes flashed with an imperceptible sadness. She said softly, "Everyone can love and protect you openly. Why can't I?" Time flowed like an hourglass. In the night sky, the stars were scattered all over, shining exceptionally brightly. The empty and desolate mountain house of the Yu family was always dazzling. Woo-woo, boom, thunderous roars resounded, and waves of fire surged into the sky. Just as everyone was about to fall into a trance, A loud roar rang out in the sky, waking everyone up from their dreams. Wind and thunder were awe-inspiring. An incomparably huge stream of light instantly turned into an incomparably huge bell cauldron. The primordial chaos ancient bell, with soaring demonic chi, descended once again. Shocking energy spread out from the outside of the bell cauldron. Waves of monstrous pressure caused everyone's heart to tremble. The heavenly might was unparalleled, and the aura was ferocious. The blazing and destructive aura immediately alarmed the entire Yu family. "Quick, there's movement!" Yin Zhongli's eyes were filled with horror. As soon as his voice fell, Yin Zhongli had already turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the mountain house of the Yu family. In an instant, the aura of everyone in the Yu family, including Yu Ning, and Yu Wugo, rushed toward the Yu family. There had never been such an exciting moment. Everyone had been waiting for this moment to come. That man had woken up. This was the voice of everyone who stayed behind to guard the Yu family. "Quick, quick, quick! Family Head's mountain house. Su, he has woken up. Family Head has already rushed over. Inform the other 5 families to gather at the entrance of the Yu family. Su, he has woken up. Oh my God, what's that big bell?" Chapter 22:13. The huge primordial chaos bell was like a divine object that had descended from the 9 heavens. Countless mysterious runes surged on the bell, covering it with a layer of heavenly brilliance that caused people's hearts to tremble. Its aura was so powerful that it could pierce the heavens and earth, and its brilliance would shine for eternity. Every Yu family disciple standing in front of the mountain house was in an uproar, and their pupils couldn't help but shrink. They were so excited that their breathing quickened. What was beyond everyone's imagination was that the hundreds of thousands of disciples from the other 5 families did not rest at this moment. They also rushed to the sky above the Yu family like demonic beasts. In the sky and on the ground, the Yu family's arrayed dome was filled with people, and they directly occupied the ink-blue sky. The starlight was annihilated, and the moonlight was dim because of these hundreds of thousands of people. It was only at this moment that everyone realized that none of them did not care about Su Yi's safety. Everyone was eagerly waiting for the ancient sect's first son-in-law to wake up, looking at the huge bell in front of them that could suppress any living thing in the world. The same thought appeared in everyone's mind. How is this possible? Everyone present was in a daze, and a wild and desolate aura was released, shocking everyone's soul. Everyone in the crowd, including the experts, had a look of astonishment and fear on their faces. The sound of people sucking in cold air rose one after another, and their gazes towards the mountain house and the primordial chaos bell were even more solemn. Amazing! I knew that this brat was extraordinary. Jinger has good eyesight. The primordial chaos bell in front of him was really too magical, and Yin Zhongli almost vomited blood at this moment. In the huge bell's halo, the sound of wind and thunder resounded incessantly, and a vigorous aura swept through the sky, causing people to have the urge to prostrate themselves. "Family Head, look!" Yu Wugo's old eyes trembled, and she signaled Yin Zhongli to look up. The excited Yin Zhongli waved his hand. This was an excellent opportunity to win people's hearts, and he immediately opened the door wide. "Remove the array. Su Yi's awakening is a blessing for the ancient sect. Everyone should witness it with their own eyes." Yu Wugo nodded lightly. The array was hazy, and an astonishing aura erupted from the dome of the mountain house. The dense crowd immediately loosened, and under the command of the 4 family heads, they formed an orderly long line. From day to night, everyone's eyes were shining from waiting. Boom! The golden bell rang out. In the skies above the primordious bell, the billowing sound waves were like a monster emperor charging forwards. Energy howled out like a volcanic eruption. Immediately, cracks spread out from the divine light like a spider web. "He's out." Yin Zhongli's eyes widened to the maximum. A fiery red light flashed, and a thin but powerful figure slowly floated out. Behind him, thunder rumbled, and a domineering and destructive energy seemed to destroy the world. The dazzling light illuminated everyone's eyes. They saw Princess Su-yi carrying the Duanmu Shaoman slowly walk out from the god clock. His green robes fluttered in the wind, his magnificence unmatched. Amidst the sea of Yaoqi, a tornado suddenly appeared in the air, and the pressure spread out like a storm. As Su-yi slowly walked out, the entire Yu clan's mountain house was filled with an ancient pressure. Crazy and roaring waves of flames rushed into the sky, like waves of lava blooming into gorgeous fireworks. Bang, bang, bang. Continuous sonic booms resounded, and soon, the entire sky above the Yu clan's residence seemed to have exploded. 12 divine beast phantoms once again flooded the entire sky. The golden dragon roared, the phoenix flapped its wings, the Qilin drank blood, and the black tortoise guarded. Oh my God, those are the 12 divine beasts. What kind of phenomenon is this? What a powerful pressure. I can't take it anymore. My head hurts. In the distant sky, hundreds of thousands of onlooking disciples revealed a painful expression. The powerful pressure wrapped around everyone like seawater. Huff. This is the general trend. This is the primordial war god. The general trend is rising. The Yin clan is reviving. The faces of the 4 patriarchs twitched. This kind of phenomenon was even more terrifying than the Ice Lawn's double phantoms. With the last roar of the white tiger, the primordious bell finally dimmed under everyone's gaze and finally disappeared. Boom! The energy dimmed, and the light around Su-yi's body also dissipated. His eyes, which were as bright as stars, looked around and then fell on Duanmu Shaoman in his arms. Shaoman, they asked you to come and save me? Su-yi was a little apologetic, and the corner of his mouth curved slightly. If I didn't come, could it be you want me and Ruashi to be widowed? Duanmu Shaoman said this sentence, and she was a little embarrassed and shy. In public, Duanmu Shaoman was still a little shy after being hugged by Su-yi like this. What's more, this was Yunjing's territory. You've worked hard. Shaoman. Su-yi looked at Duanmu Shaoman, whose face was as pale as a sheet of white paper, and couldn't care less. Between Su Wanner and little handsome Su, Duanmu Shaoman's cultivation was the highest, and she also contributed the most. She was a half-step Yuan Tian cultivator, and at this time, she didn't have any Yuan Qi left. Her arm was like silk wrapped around Su-yi's neck. Damn it, this bastard, we also contributed, okay? He only knows how to act cool. Little handsome Su's chubby face was covered in sweat, and a few flames shot out from his eyes. Behind him, Su Wanner supported little handsome Su. Compared to the other two, Su Wanner's Yuan Qi was still sufficient. Little handsome big brother, big sister Shaoman came from afar. As long as big brother Su-yi can wake up, nothing is more important than him. Su Wanner looked at Su-yi in the distance, and her heart was filled with endless sweetness. At this moment, looking at Su-yi, who was holding a beauty in his arms, everyone was a little shocked. Their eyes widened as they looked at Su-yi, who was invincible, like a god protecting his sweetheart. Among the crowd, voices of envy, worship, and desire rang out continuously. Shintui saw that the atmosphere was a little quiet because of Su-yi holding a beauty in his arms, and then shouted loudly, "The Shinta family welcomes the young master back to the sect." Immediately, as if waking up from a dream, the family heads of the other 3 families glared fiercely at Shinta-yi. A great opportunity to curry favor had been snatched away, and they immediately rushed to meet it. Dongfang Tong and the entire Dongfang family welcomed the young master. Jing Yiquang and the Jing family disciples thanked the young master for saving us in a desperate situation. Congratulations to the young master for waking up. Yuan family welcomes the young master of the Immortal sect, the king of prodigies, Su-yi. Sect leader Su is invincible. The voices of the four family heads were loud and vigorous. Accompanied by the sound of yuan qi, it broke through the sky and spread across the entire Yunxian mountain range. In the sky above the magnificent ancient sect, the sound waves rose and fell continuously, and the ripples in space were crazily torn apart by the waves of echoes. Su Yi is invincible. Su Yi is the great benefactor of our Yunxian sect. Su Yi, I want to be your underling. All kinds of flattering voices were transmitted back and forth from the hundreds of thousands of people, and the excitement of the entire Yunxian ancient sect once again rushed to the peak. There were even more excited disciples who saw the invincible Su Yi holding the heavenly goddess, and their faces flushed red, and they almost fainted. It seemed that the basic needs of human nature were the same, no matter how high one's cultivation was. Being stared at by so many people at the same time, Duanmu Xiaoman's cheeks were burning, and it was as if water could be squeezed out of her tender face. "Aren't you going to put me down?" Duanmu Xiaoman raised her eyes and looked lovingly at Su Yi. Chapter 22:14. Su Yi's lips curled up slightly. Duanmu Xiaoman was so beautiful in his bright and clear eyes. When his soul was wandering, he dreamt of the primeval times, and countless divine beasts were roaring in his ears. The whole world was turned upside down as if it was about to be destroyed. It was Duanmu Xiaoman, little handsome Su, and Su Wanner's power that woke him up. Duanmu Xiaoman came all the way from the Yuqian Palace. Su Yi was touched to see her in the Yun family. He glanced at the tens of thousands of people in the sky and saw that they were all shocked. Su Yi then put Duanmu Xiaoman down. The goddess landed on the ground. Her stumbling body added to her beauty. Su Wanner and little handsome Su caught her at the same time. "Su Yi, you're finally awake." Yin Zhongli walked up excitedly with joy on his face. Su Yi looked at Yin Zhongli, the people from the Yu family, and the people from the four major families in the sky. "Patriarch Yin, I really have to thank you this time." Su Yi let out an emotional sigh. When Yin Zhongli's gaze landed on Su Yi's 7th-level Origin Ancestor stage cultivation base, a hint of shock flashed through his eyes. There was probably no one present who knew better than him just how strong Su Yi was at the Yuan Zong stage. "Why are you still calling me Patriarch Yin?" Yin Zhongli smiled. Su Yi's gaze trembled slightly, and he was instantly shocked. He heard Shintui speak again. "Sect Master Su, how should you address Miss Yin Jing's father?" Instantly, Su Yi felt a little embarrassed. He looked at Duanmu Xiaoman from the corner of his eyes. The latter was looking at him with a smile. Su Yi's heart calmed down. "Father-in-law," Su Yi finally called out in front of hundreds of thousands of people. In an instant, the noise and cheers filled the sky. The commotion in the middle of the night was like a terrifying explosion. "I'm so envious." With the imperial goddess, he could even become the son-in-law of the Yun family. This is really the envy of others. Sigh, comparisons are odious. I want to be like Su Yi, the #1 son-in-law of ancient sect. From now on, the sky of ancient sect will change. Within the crowd, countless pairs of red and envious eyes were burning with excitement. It was as if they had become the first son-in-law of the ancient sect. In a split second, the sound waves rose again like the ringing of a bell from the 9 heavens. The sound waves covered the heavens and the earth and shook the earth. "Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, young master. Congratulations, young master." After congratulating 3 times, Yin Zhongli looked at Su Yi with satisfaction and patted Su Yi's shoulder. "Let's go. Let's talk inside." The high-spirited Yin Zhongli, who had always kept a low profile, looked particularly overbearing at this moment, as if Miss Yun Jing had returned to the ancient sect. After saying that, Su Yi and the others returned to the Yu clan's mountain house. The space that was surrounded by the chaos bell was filled with majestic spiritual aura, which made people's hearts throb. In the room, Su Yi and the muscular Wang Shangwu hugged each other tightly. Wang Shangwu was like a child, hugging Su Yi and bawling. Everyone present was moved. Looking at Wang Shangwu's friendship, Yin Zhongli and the four patriarch side. The brotherhood between Su Yi and Wang Shangwu was rare. For Wang Shangwu, Su Yi had supported him many times, allowing him to hold his head high in front of everyone. For Su Yi, Wang Shangwu was willing to give up his life for his promise. Where else in the world could such a friendship be found? From now on, this Tianan continent may belong to these two brothers. Yuwugo sighed softly. At this moment, in the corner behind her, there was an existence that was the complete opposite of the lively crowd. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Yuning, Er's gaze fluctuated. Even though she had a smile on her face, looking at the center of the crowd, her heart was filled with uneasiness. She then turned and left the mountain house. In the center of the crowd, Su Yi's eyes were red. He looked at Wang Shangwu and chuckled. All right. Are you trying to strangle me? At this moment, Wang Shangwu was no longer the fat kid from back then. His eyes were bright, and he was imposing without being angry. His majestic, divine aura, coupled with his strong muscles, made him look like a divine soldier descending from the sky. I'm just happy. You're always so thrilling, Wang Shangwu said with a smile. Su Yi nodded. His gaze fell on Wang Shangwu's cultivation aura, and he said in a deep voice, now that your tyrannical emperor's war body has been completely awakened, you should cultivate well in the remaining time. You'll definitely surpass ordinary people. The origin ancestor realm will be within your reach, and the origin domain realm won't be difficult either. You can't cry so easily. Wang Shangwu nodded heavily. He looked around at the crowd, and an awe-inspiring, domineering aura rushed out like a madman. Yun Zhongli's gaze trembled as he sized up Wang Shangwu. He took the opportunity to say, Su Yi, I want to keep Wang Shangwu in the ancient sect. What do you think about this? Suddenly, the crowd fell silent. Everyone knew that when Wang Shangwu had entered the ancient sect, he had been bullied. In the end, he was even chased out of the ancient sect. That was why Wang Shangwu had the opportunity to meet Su Yi, who was preparing to enter the ancient sect. That was why everything had happened later. Now, Wang Shangwu had risked his life to save Wan and was a part of turning the tide. Of course, he had the right to stay in the ancient sect. However, would Su Yi be willing? Would Wang Shangwu still be willing? Hearing that, Su Yi's expression immediately became unnatural. Wang Shangwu and Su Wan were also embarrassed. Family leader, Su Yi has just woken up. Can we talk about this later? Yu Wugo smiled bitterly and walked up to ease the atmosphere. Su Yi looked at Yun Zhongli and the other family leaders. A faint anger rose in him, but it was gradually extinguished. He said softly, Fine. Father-in-law's request is not unreasonable. Everything depends on Shangwu's decision and Xiaoman's opinion. In other words, if Wang Shangwu was willing and Duanmu Xiaoman did not have any opinion, Su Yi would not interfere in this matter. After that, Su Yi turned to Duanmu Xiaoman and said softly, Shangwu is now a disciple of the Wuji branch palace. He represents the Yutian palace to enter the despairs of the Dark Sea. What do you think as the head palace leader? Duanmu Xiaoman's frosty face froze for a moment. Then she said, It depends on him. The Yin family is also Sister Jing Er's family. The Yin family and the Yutian palace are fated. I have no opinion. As soon as she finished speaking, everyone present was shocked. Didn't the rumor say that Duanmu Xiaoman had a strange temper and would kill someone's entire family without a word? Now, why did she look so charming and easy to talk to? Looking at Su Yi, everyone's eyes trembled slightly. They immediately understood that Duanmu Xiaoman's good temper was only limited to Su Yi. The most beautiful woman in the Sky Barbarian continent, Duanmu Xiaoman, loved Su Yi deeply. Shintui lowered her head and sighed. She said to Shinto Shuang beside her, If only your mother was so tolerant to me, I would have given you a few concubines. Chapter 22:15. With a crisp sound, Shinto Shuang's elbow hit Shinto Yi's stomach. Waving her fist, Shinto Shuang said fiercely, Flatterer Dad, if you have Su Yi's ability and handsomeness, you can go and ask for it. If that's the case, I don't think Mom will object. "You stinky girl, do you want to beat her dad to death?" Shantui frowned and smiled helplessly while enduring the pain. This small episode did not alarm the people in the center. Wang Shangwu looked at Yun Zhongli with mixed feelings and lowered his head silently. The world was indeed like this. The successful ones would be supported by others, and the defeated ones would be erased from history. For someone as lowly as him, if he did not walk on the martial path, he would be content as the son of a nouveau riche in a small barbarian city. However, there was no other way. This was a forest of steel where the strong fought for the peak of the martial path. Without Su Yi, he would have struggled for 5 years and would have only become a fool and a target of ridicule. Without Su Yi, he would not have known that he could fight a bloody battle in the beast forest. He also would not have known that he could sacrifice so much for one person. It turned out that he could also protect the people he treasured with his own strength. Immediately, Wang Shangwu looked at Su Wan. His determined face was covered in bruises, but at this moment, it looked like a medal of merit, shining brightly. "Ah, Yi, I used to envy you for being able to do whatever you wanted and run amok in the world. I also wanted to, but I was too weak. I was afraid. I was afraid of death. I was afraid of unpredictable situations." Wang Shanwu lowered his eyebrows and hid in the shadows. Su Yi was moved. Looking at Wang Shangwu's back, he sighed in his heart. Wang Shangwu said, "However, when I learned that you ran into danger in the barbarian demon forest and escaped with one I realized for the first time that the world was so vast." As he spoke, Wang Shangwu's body gradually began to tremble. Su Wan'er's chest also began to rise and fall as she choked with sobs. That was because the memories that Wang Shangwu had recounted were the painful experiences that they had shared together. After going through untold hardships to reach the Yun family, Wan'er was grounded. Without anyone to rely on, I realized that I was still too weak. I was bullied and humiliated, but I wasn't angry. I only hated myself for being too useless. Wang Shangwu's hot tears dripped on the ground, his body slightly trembling. Everyone present was moved. Wang Shangwu wiped away his tears, and his crying turned into laughter. "But now, I have the ability to join the palace and enter the palace. From the very beginning, all I wanted to do was to kill my way back to the Yun family, to kill my way back to the place that made me lose confidence. I could prove I can. I could do it too." Wang Shangwu's eyes flashed with a ruthless light. The incomparable desire in his heart had turned into a boiling flame that burned with all its might. He turned his head, and a golden divine light illuminated the world. His powerful muscles released waves of destructive power. Wang Shangwu looked at Su Yi and said firmly, "After coming here, I want to continue to prove myself that I can succeed. I don't want to go to the palace. I don't want to be a law-abiding person. I also want to protect you, protect Wan'er, and protect everyone I want to protect in the future." Clap, clap, clap. Warm applause rang out, and everyone present couldn't help but look at this tall man, their eyes filled with excitement. Strange, this brat actually makes me want to cry. It's not easy. This brat, being beaten every day, we can't do anything to the Liu family and the Gongyang family. It's all in the past. Wang Shangwu, this brat, is tenacious and has a genius brother like Su Yi. His future is promising. Shintu Shuang, Dongfang Yuan, and the others who were standing at the back had red noses and tears flowing down their cheeks. Damn it, when did this tall man become so intelligent? His words are so touching. Shintu Shuang wiped her tears and smiled emotionally. Her precious daughter's words were heard by Shintu Yi, but she secretly hid it in her heart and smiled knowingly. "So hot-blooded. Wang Shangwu, good job. When they bullied you, I even mocked you for not being able to fight back. You're a good-for-nothing. From now on, you're the person I, Dongfang Yuan, respect the most." Dongfang Yuan roared and gave Wang Shangwu a thumbs up. In the crowd, Su Yi pursed his lips and his eyes rippled. He never thought that Wang Shangwu would say such words today. "Okay, since you decided, I'll support you." Su Yi was moved and said heroically. Immediately, Su Yi, Wang Shangwu, and everyone else present laughed heartily. The tyrannical emperor's battle physique. It would be a great blessing for the ancient sect if such a brave and talented genius stayed in the sect. I announce that the ancient sect will have 3 successors from now on. Jing Er's talent is needless to say. 1 Ice Phoenix Goddess. Wu Divine Sun Overlord. I will also personally accept Wang Shangwu as my personal disciple and help him reach the peak of martial arts. The rest of you have to work hard. Yin Zhongli opened his arms and announced excitedly to everyone. Hearing that, Su Wana hugged Wang Shangwu's elbow happily. Su Wana looked excitedly at Su Yi and Wang Shangwu, the 2 best childhood sweethearts, and said loudly, "Awesome! Brother Shangwu, Brother Su Yi, this is my happiest day in the ancient sect." Yin Zhongli was also stroking his beard. Seeing Wana so happy, he was naturally overjoyed. He said softly, "Wana, you have to work hard from now on and catch up to your sister's level as soon as possible. As for the curfew, it's cancelled. Wu you have to protect Wana well." Just as Su Wana was smiling like a flower, Yun Hachin walked out and looked at Sui. Everyone's eyes focused on him again. One had to know that Yun Hachin was originally the #1 person in the younger generation. The first son-in-law of the ancient sect had already become the leader of the younger generation. The fame and fortune that originally belonged to Yun Hachin and his sweetheart were all taken away by Su Yi. What would Yun Hachin do now? Looking at Yun Hachin, who walked out, Yin Zhongli's gaze turned serious, and he didn't say a word. Just as everyone was holding their breath, Yun Hachin said to Su Yi, "Congratulations. Master, congratulations on taking in another good disciple." Then, Yun Hanchin's eyes shone brightly, and the surging aura of his cultivation made everyone suddenly realize. The strength of the #1 person in the Yin family back then was still so strong. Even in a hopeless situation, he still had great gains. However, Su Yi, I won't give up. Jing hasn't returned, so I still have a chance. This is the world of the strong. I admit that I'm not as good as you. In the battle for the Long family, I'll give it my all. You mustn't fall behind. Yin Hanchin's lips curled up, revealing a sincere and challenging smile. After looking around, Yin Hanchin walked out of the room. The ferocious aura of a peak 8th level origin ancestor shocked everyone present. Chapter 22:16. Suddenly, everyone's eyes turned cold. Yin Hanchin was right. The battle with the Long family was bound to happen. The Yin family had been preparing for this for more than 20 years. Although the hope of the Yin family, Yin Jing, was not here, they had the first son-in-law of the ancient sect, the Ice Phoenix Goddess, the tyrannical Emperor Divine Sun, and the powerful Yun Hanchin and Yuninger behind them. The 5 of them together were much stronger than the Golden Dragon bloodline of the Long family. Not to mention the overall strength of the ancient sect. If Miss Yunjing were to come back, the strength of the younger generation would reach the peak and be invincible. Immediately after, all the family heads' faces surged with arrogance, as if they were going to fight to the death with the Long family tomorrow. Everyone's eyes followed Yun Hanchin's departure and returned to Sui. "Father-in-law, what are your plans for the battle with the Long family?" Sui looked at Yun Zhongli. Yun Zhongli squinted his eyes and asked everyone to sit down. Then, he said seriously, "The Long family fought with our Yun family in the central province. If it weren't for that mysterious old man, the Yun family wouldn't have been defeated. After that, Jing was weak and Wana was just born. The ancient sect couldn't do anything." Thinking of those days, everyone unconsciously pounded the back of their chairs. Yu Wugo, who was sitting on the west side, said indignantly, "Every family has been sullen for the past few decades, but I didn't expect these 2 families to have such scum. Yes, it seems that the Long family has infiltrated our ancient sect for many years. We don't know how much Draconis knows about us in this battle," Shintui said with a trace of hatred in her eyes. Yin Zhongli waved his hand and said softly, "Everything has its pros and cons. The Yin family has changed so much this time. What can the Long family do? The best news now is that Jing isn't in the Long family's hands, and Wan Er's tragedy won't happen again. Wan Er's tragedy? Sui asked. Wan Er, who was sitting next to her sister Duanmu Xiaoman, said with trembling eyes, Father, when I was refining the blood essence, I seem to have seen what happened back then. Was it really the Long family? Yin Zhongli took a deep breath. Now that Wan Er had grown up and become the Ice Luan goddess, he didn't want to keep this secret any longer. Wan Er was stolen back then. Now, the remnants of the Long family have appeared in the ancient sect. All of this is definitely not a coincidence. I believe it was done by the Long family, Yin Zhongli said. With that said, Duanmu Xiaoman held Su Wan Er's trembling hand with her cold and gentle hand and said softly, If it wasn't for the Ice Luan true divinity who injected a remnant soul into your mother's body, which you absorbed, the remnant soul protected your master and helped you escape, the consequences would have been disastrous. Yes, it's all fate. Yin Zhongli smiled bitterly. Everyone shook their heads meaningfully. Only Su Yi's eyes were cold as he said in a serious tone, After the Tianfeng battle, the Long family and I have a great enmity. I have a plan here. Listen to it. As soon as he finished speaking, the Yu clan's mountain house was quickly enveloped by the 6 layers of Yuanqi light. The vast light isolated the sect master's mountain house. On the other side, on the Yu clan's mountain slope, a beautiful face was covered by the moist night. It was Yuning who had just walked out of the mountain house. The moonlight was cold and bright. Everything in the distance was vague, as if it could reflect the entanglement in Yuning heart. Do you always like to deceive yourselves? A magnetic voice came from behind her. Yuning who was deep in thought, immediately knew it was Yun Hanshan's voice. She immediately raised her eyes and said, Aren't you the same? You know she won't like you. Even if she comes back, she won't like you. Yin Hanshan lowered his eyebrows and smiled bitterly. He looked at the vast Yu clan's mountain boundary. The faint mountain scenery was like ink, tranquil and beautiful. Then, do you want me to admit defeat like this? Liking doesn't mean that I have to possess her. If I know that she's stronger than me, it's not love, but selfishness, right? Yin Hanshan looked at Yuning Yuning face trembled. She looked at Yun Hanshan in disbelief. Yun Hanshan, who had always been aloof, was actually saying such words. Why are you here? Yuning asked. Yun Hanshan sat down elegantly and raised his head to breathe in the midnight fragrance of the grass. He snorted and said, I'm here to find Jing traces. Back then, the 3 of you would come here whenever you were unhappy. I know all about it. After saying that, Yun Hanshan laughed. It turned out that he had always been secretly in love. Isn't it tiring to be in a one-sided love? Yuning looked at him. Compared to that, if I make Jing unhappy, what's the value of my love? I believe that I will be strong, so strong that others won't be able to ignore me. If I'm not strong enough, I'll work harder. Even if she doesn't love me in the end, she'll still care about me. Yin Hanshan smiled brightly and turned to Yuning He said softly, I used to be the pride of the heavens, but I'm actually so petty. Isn't it funny? Yuning shook her head and smiled. You're very good. Jing is also very good. We should all live our lives. Ooh. In the Yu clan's mountain boundary, a black shadow suddenly flashed past Yuning and Yun Hanshan's eyes. Who is that? Fengbo? No, Uncle Su? Yun Hanshan sat up. Under the night light, Yuning smiled and stood up. She said softly, Let's go. It's time for us to work hard. At this moment, in the Yu clan's mountain house, everyone was stunned after hearing Su Yi's army plan. The demon-subduing sect, the Boang sect, the Sky Demon Army, the Overlord Army, and the Imperial Palace. The power of these 3, in addition to the Snow Red House's new sacred mountain, had already become a super terrifying top force. Now, with the addition of the ancient Cloud Immortal sect, the Long family was no longer afraid. Great! Su Yi, this plan is too unbelievable, Yu Wugo exclaimed in admiration. Such a huge force was actually controlled by this young man. No matter how they racked their brains, they couldn't figure out how Su Yi did it. The Snow Red House, the reincarnation of Jin Jintian, had lost his life when the Long family slaughtered his village. The new sacred mountain and Su Yi would definitely be on his side. Not to mention that Su Yi and the Duanmu Xiaoman were in love. The Duanmu Qingtian had been on the run for decades, and the Duanmu Xiaoman's soul had been injured for many years. This debt had to be settled clearly. Now, with the addition of the ancient cloud Immortal sect, their strength had undoubtedly reached its peak. Immediately, the patriarchs raised their eyebrows, their pride soaring to the sky. Boiling hot blood stirred the entire room. Jing Yiquang shouted angrily. Since the young master is already prepared, the Jing clan is willing to be the vanguard and charge into the Long family. Then, Dongfang Tong, Shintu Yi, Yuan Jian, and Yu Wugo followed suit. Terrifying origin domain auras shot out, all of them having the demeanor of a top origin domain expert. Chapter 22:17. Everyone looked at Yin Zhongli with burning gazes. Yin Zhongli hesitated. Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman looked at each other. "Father-in-law, are you worried about that alien?" Su Yi asked. Yin Zhongli nodded. 20 years had passed, and no one knew how powerful that extraterrestrial expert had become. You can't imagine how powerful that alien is. We must be careful. Yin Zhongli sat on the back of the chair with an unprecedentedly serious expression on his face. How is Master Qingtian recovering? Su Yi turned to ask Duanmu Xiaoman. Among the people present, only Duanmu Qingtian, who was at the Origin Sky stage, had fought with the alien at his peak. Duanmu Xiaoman shook her head and said in a low voice, "In the Sky burial ground, the Ice One true God Soul remnant was also weakened. Master Qingtian's injuries are not something we can interfere with. It will take time for him to recover." Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes trembled slightly as she added, "Master Qingtian's current strength should be around the Origin Domain Stage 9. Boom! Everyone's eyes flickered. Duanmu Qingtian was the only true Origin Sky stage martial artist in the heavenly barbarian continent. Now, after the battle with the alien, his strength had been greatly reduced. If Draconis entered the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm, he would also reach the Origin Sky stage. It was really hard to say who would emerge victorious and who would be the loser. We don't have much time left. Father-in-law, is there any news about Draconis recently?" Su Yi asked with a frown. Yin Zhongli smacked his lips and kept rubbing the back of the chair. He said softly, "According to my subordinates, Draconis has been looking for the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm in the Chaos Territory, but he couldn't enter it. I heard that he hasn't been there recently. Is he injured?" Yu Wugo stood up and asked with joy. "It's possible, but we have to speed up." Yin Zhongli frowned. Everyone fell into deep thought. Su Yi sniffled and said softly, "In that case, father-in-law, I will return to the Bawang sect tomorrow and gather our forces. When the ancient sect is done, we will fight with the Long family." After speaking, Su Yi turned his head and looked at the frosty Duanmu Xiaoman, saying, "Xiaoman, we still have to think of a way to treat Sky Pillar Senior's injuries. Just how strong are the foreign experts? Have they recovered their full strength? We have to be careful." Duanmu Xiaoman nods. Just as everyone is preparing to leave, a black shadow burrows into the Yu family mountain house. "Who's there?" Shintu Yi's murderous intent flashed as he asked nervously. "Is that Yi?" A voice filled with vicissitudes of life was heard from the black shadow. Everyone present was shocked. The newcomer was none other than Su Jingyuan, who had just woken up from the Bodhi Gu. Su Yi, who was talking loudly just now, froze. Looking at Su Yi's face, Su Yi felt as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. In a split second, a warm current surged from his heart to his meridians. Su Yi's nose turned sour. He said slowly and emotionally, "Father, da." Step by step, Su Yi, who was walking like a phantom, felt that the distance between them was so far apart. His feet felt as if they were filled with lead. The heavy footsteps made Su Yi's body sway slightly as he walked towards Su Jingyuan. On the opposite side, Su Jingyuan's dry and wrinkled lips and messy face were also full of tears. Seeing his son for the first time in 20 years, his excitement could be imagined. He wanted to stretch out his hands, but didn't dare to. He stiffly opened his arms towards Su Yi. When Su Jingyuan and Su Yi's firm chest hugged each other tightly, the father and son's tears flowed like spring water. Speechless, crying, Yin Zhongli and Yu Wugo, who were waiting at the side, also sighed. Who could understand Su Jingyuan's suffering after pretending to be crazy for more than 20 years? He was chased by Long family and hid in Yin family. His wife, when Fu was missing, returned to Man City? That would bring a huge disaster to Man City. Find Wen Fu. The world was so big. Where's the end? What kind of identity could he use to live in Yin family? In troubled times, he would rather laugh madly in the wind and dust. Good. After 3 sentences, Su Jingyuan closed his eyes and felt Su Yi, who had suddenly grown up. He had already become the Emperor of Heaven, the #1 son-in-law of an immortal sect, Su Yi. Su Jingyuan felt extremely carefree. More than 20 years of feelings were expressed in an instant. His fingers, which were a little stiff from excessive excitement, twitched slightly. Gently touching Su Yi's back, Su Jingyuan truly felt that Su Yi was alive in his arms. This was not an illusion. At this moment, Su Jingyuan began to try patting Su Yi's back gently, as if comforting himself who was sad. As a person who was reincarnated, this kind of familial entanglement and concern could not be taken away by any force. Su Yi hugged Su Jingyuan, his mind full of memories of his previous life and the scenes of this life overlapping. He kept saying, "Dad, I miss you so much." A simple sentence was enough to move everyone present. Boo-hoo. Su Wan, who had witnessed all this, was already sobbing. She lay on Duanmu Xiaoman's arm, her delicate body trembling slightly. On the side, Wang Shangwu's huge body also trembled and cried. He said in a trembling voice, "It's so touching." Su Yi finally saw his father. "I miss my family too." Su Wan suddenly stood up, pulled Wang Shangwu, and said, "Brother Shangwu, when everything is over, let's go back to Man City." Now, her identity as the Ice Phoenix goddess and Wang Shangwu as the tyrannical emperor's divine son would soon spread across the entire continent. They could not go back to Man City. Going back to Man City was also a burden to Man City. Wang Shangwu nodded and sighed softly. Then, a trace of seriousness appeared on his brows. At this moment, all the family heads left the Yu family's mountain house. Only Su Yi, Su Jingyuan, Su Wan, and Wang Shangwu were left in the room. No one knew where handsome Su had run off to. After listening to Su Yi's narration, he casually and cheerfully recounted his experience of more than 20 years of training. Su Jingyuan listened attentively. Sometimes he was shocked, sometimes he laughed, and sometimes he fell into deep thought. In the end, Su Jingyuan sighed and only said one sentence. It's been hard on you all these years without your father by your side." Thinking back to the past, although his mother was not by his side, he already knew where his mother was. Looking at Su Jingyuan, who seemed to have experienced many vicissitudes of life, Su Yi shook his head and said softly, "It's not hard. With her by my side, I don't feel lonely." Following Su Yi's gaze, Su Jingyuan looked at Wang Shangwu and Su Wan. In the past 5 years, after knowing that they were Su Yi's friends, Su Jingyuan had been secretly observing them for a long time. Usually, Su Wan and Wang Shangwu were very respectful to Fengbo. Now that they knew that he was Su Yi's father, they were even more respectful. Chapter 22:18. When Su Jingyuan looked at Duanmu Xiaoman, she gently nodded and said with a smile, "Greetings, father-in-law." Su Jingyuan, who turned pale with fright, hurriedly helped Duanmu Xiaoman up and said, You can't. You're Master Qingtian's sister." Su Yi immediately laughed heartily. He looked at Su Jingyuan's terrified expression and said happily, "Father, we're a family from now on. There's no need for so many rules." Duanmu Xiaoman also revealed a smile to another man for the first time. She nodded and said, "Father-in-law, you can just call me Xiaoman." After saying that, Duanmu Xiaoman glanced at Su Yi, and a charming expression flashed across her face. After a while, Su Jingyuan, who had decided to throw away his crazy appearance, freshened up and walked out. It was exactly the same as what Su Yi had seen in the ball of light. Su Jingyuan, who had reappeared, had clear and bright eyes that were as deep as the abyss. Wang Shangwu nodded and said softly, "He looks a lot like his father." Su Wan tilted her head and looked at Wang Shangwu. She said in a serious voice, "How can they not look alike? Silly brother." Looking at the spirited Su Jingyuan, Su Yi knew in his heart that he was Su Jingyuan's hope now. Over 20 years of insanity had finally come to an end. Su Yi's gaze landed on the handsome and determined Su Jingyuan. He said in a deep voice, "Father, the next step might be to take the initiative against the Long family. We must avenge the Su family." Su Jingyuan pondered for a moment and then nodded. Instantly, a powerful sixth-stage Yuan domain stage wind erupted from his body. Everyone present was shocked and horrified. "Father," Su Yi said softly. Su Jingyuan smiled slightly, and a trace of hatred flashed across his eyes. The past was once again brought to his mind. He said in a serious voice, "Here, Father has waited for so long. Although I already know that your mother was taken to the outer realm by that green-clothed woman, our Su family will never forget the Long family's revenge." Then, Su Jingyuan clenched his teeth, and a murderous intent appeared in his red eyes. This day can't be avoided. It will come in the end. He took a deep breath. Su Jingyuan withdrew his aura and looked at his son with some hesitation. Your grandfather, uncle, and the others?" Su Jingyuan finally asked the question in his heart. Suddenly, Su Yi smiled and looked at Duanmu Xiaoman. He gratefully held Duanmu Xiaoman's hand and said, "That day, after the Sacred Martial Conference, I became enemies with the Sacred Mountain. I entrusted Palace Master Guyue to bring grandfather and the others to the headquarters of the Imperial Palace. After that, Barbarian City suffered a calamity. The Sacred Mountain plundered Barbarian City without restraint. It was all thanks to Xiaoman's arrival that we were able to avert disaster." Su Yi's deep eyes were filled with gratitude as he looked at Duanmu Xiaoman gently. When Su Jingyuan heard that so many things had happened in a small barbarian city, his brows never relaxed. When he heard that old master Su Yintian was safe and sound, he heaved a sigh of relief. Now that you've grown up, there are many things waiting for you to deal with outside. Father wants to go to the Imperial Palace to see your grandfather, and your uncle and the others." Su Jingyuan's eyes were misty as he lamented in his heart. If it wasn't for his son, what would the Su family have become after 20 years of hardship? Duanmu Xiaoman also nodded and said to Su Yi, "Qing Tian is still receiving treatment at the True God's place. I can't accompany you in the Chaos region. When the time comes for the final battle with the Long family, I will personally bring the people of the Imperial Palace to meet up with you." After pondering for a while, Su Yi stared at Duanmu Xiaoman and said, "That's good too. I'm most at ease with Father in the Imperial Palace. He can also meet Senior Qing Tian." After that, Su Yi gave the vein opening vine, spirit nourishing mud, and snow tobacco that he had painstakingly collected to Duanmu Xiaoman. "What's this?" Duanmu Xiaoman was a little confused. Su Yi smiled and told Duanmu Xiaoman that these were for Suruga to untie the knot in her heart. He asked Elder Hong and Elder Mo to refine the Jade Spring Bone refining pill so that Suruga could heal her old injuries and recover her appearance. After receiving the items, Su Yi and the others stood up. At this time, a fierce exhalation came from outside the door. Flames splashed as a blazing ball of light rushed in. Su Jingyuan's eyes widened. Inside the ball of light, Su Xiaoshui was panting heavily. "Xiaoshui, what did you run off to?" Su Honor smiled and looked at Sui gently. You missed the scene of Big Brother Su Yi and Uncle Jingyuan reuniting. As the light around Su Xiaoshui faded, his chubby face was revealed. He looked at Su Jingyuan, and the latter was even more shocked. 8th-stage Demon Realm, a few levels stronger than him. When he heard that Su Xiaoshui was the true Phoenix God, Su Jingyuan's hair stood on end. Su Xiaoshui said, "Godfather." Su Jingyuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why were there so many powerful and terrifying people around his son? "Tell me, where did you go?" Su Yi smiled helplessly. Su Xiaoshui sat down. It turned out that while everyone was concerned about Su Yi, Su Xiaoshui went into the Black Sea to explore again. "Did you find any traces of the true Phoenix God?" Duanmu Xiaoman asked with a frown. Su Xiaoshui shook his head and said regretfully, "It's a pile of ruins inside, and the spirit Qi is chaotic. The Ice Phoenix is also completely destroyed." After saying this, Su Xiaoshui held half of his face, and his eyes were full of worry. He wanted to go on a search for his memories, but now there was nothing. I have to go." The true Phoenix God in the burial of Heaven Frost Ground is a subsoul of this place. Qing Tian is still up there. If the main soul dissipates, I'm afraid something will happen to Qing Tian. Duanmu Xiaoman hugged Su Yi's arm. Su Yi didn't delay and agreed to go back immediately. Seeing Su Xiaoshui's despondent look, Su Yi said, "We don't need you here anymore. Go to the burial of Heaven Frost Ground and try your luck." Su Xiaoshui stood up and frowned. "But, big brother, we're about to have a decisive battle with the Long family. I have to protect you." Hearing this, Su Yi smiled and shook his head. "Not so fast. Draconis didn't find the Golden Dragon Mystery Realm. If he gives up like this, he must be seriously injured. I still have to deal with the Bawang sect and the Demon Subduing sect. I don't have much time, but it's enough. You won't be of much use by my side. I'll just let you go and search for your memories." Su Xiaoshui nodded heavily and said, "Big brother, I promise you. I'll go and come back quickly." All right. Don't be so pretentious." Su Yi smiled and turned to hold Duanmu Xiaoman's hand. He said softly, "Be careful when you go back." After sending off the people from the Yuqian Palace, Su Yi looked at Wang Shangwu and Su Wan'er in the room. Chapter 2219. Right now, one of you is the Ice Long Goddess, and the other is the Tyrant Emperor God's son. When the Long family fights, you have to put in some effort." Su Yi said with a faint smile. Wang Shangwu took a deep breath. A majestic and domineering aura surged out from between his brows. He said softly, "Su Yi, I will start my seclusion with Master tomorrow. At that time, I will let you see a different me. Big brother Su Yi, Wan'er will also work harder. You have to be careful when you go to the Chaos region. My big sister Jing will be worried about you." Su Yi looked at Su Wan'er, who was like a spring bud in full bloom. Her sparkling and translucent skin glowed like a crystal. Su Yi patted Su Wan'er's head. "Silly sister, you have to take good care of yourself. Even if you and Shang Wu's cultivation is astonishing, the Long family still has to be on guard. Don't let others steal you away again." What Su Yi is afraid is that Wang Shangwu and Su Wan'er will come to find him like before, creating many waves out of thin air. From entering the barbarian demon forest, to returning to the barbarian city, to the nightmare sea, the two of them risked their lives for him. Su Yi doesn't want to experience these again. As matters stand, Su Yi feels that what he has is the most abundant. Precisely so, he doesn't want anything to happen to anyone around him. Grandfather, father, Xiaoman, Ruo Shi, Jing'an and Shangwu, these people are becoming more and more important in his heart. Of course, there is also Qinxue. Thinking of this, Su Yi's heart couldn't help but tremble. In the soul trial of the cloud staircase, Qinxue once spoke. Qinxue's 9 drops of blood essence, calculating the time, should be done refining. And the last thing he promised Qinxue, he still lacks the last glazed heavenly stamen. Immediately, Su Wan'er gently pushed Su Yi's hand away. Her moon-like eyes flashed with a trace of red as she said softly, "Big brother, I'm not a little sister anymore." After saying this, she pouted her small mouth and walked out. Su-yi was startled. He had only been in a daze. How could Su Wanner have such a big reaction? Su-yi looked at Wang Shangwu and asked, "Did I say something wrong?" "No." Wang Shangwu shook his head. "Then Wanner doesn't seem happy?" Su-yi didn't understand. Wang Shangwu chuckled and scratched the back of his head. "Wanner is also a woman. Don't try to guess what a girl is thinking." With a crooked mouth, Su-yi nodded heavily. He gave Wang Shangwu a few more instructions and told Wang Shangwu about his understanding of the Spirit Emperor tyrannical sealing force. Then, the two separated. After returning the room to Yuwugo, Yuninger also followed in. However, the latter's expression when looking at Su-yi was obviously much more natural. These days, Su-yi had been bothering the Yu family for a long time. Naturally, he felt a little embarrassed. After pondering for a moment, he took out 5 bottles of spiritual liquid from the space and gave them to Yuwugo. The medicinal fragrance lingered in the air. The glowing energy overflowed from the bottle like gossamer. Yuwugo couldn't help but be shocked. After leaving the Yu family, Su-yi decided to look for Yun Zhongli before leaving. At this time, Yun Zhongli was not in the sect leader's room. After some questioning, all the people who saw Su-yi along the way were very respectful. Along the way, he even met Yun Liang from the Tianfeng ranking tournament. Following Yun Liang's guidance, Su-yi meandered along the way and finally arrived at a hidden courtyard. The courtyard had its own style. The simple and elegant style revealed a trace of playfulness and individuality. The Origin Supreme technique trembled slightly. A vast, ancient aura broke through the energy restriction of the courtyard and pushed open the door. "Father-in-law," Su-yi saw Yun Zhongli sitting at the door at a glance. A trace of loneliness could be seen in the vicissitudes of life. Yun Zhongli, who was in deep thought, didn't expect Su-yi to find this place. His eyes slightly froze. "Ear is here." Yun Zhongli smiled and looked at the pale moonlight on the horizon. Sitting down beside Yun Zhongli, Su-yi felt an extremely familiar smell in the air. Hearing that Su Jingyuan had left the ancient sect, Yun Zhongli nodded and pointed at the courtyard. "Ear, this is where Jinger lives. I, Yun Zhongli, have always wanted to reach the peak of the martial Tao. I have fought with the Long family for most of my life. In the end, I couldn't even look after my own daughter." After saying that, Yun Zhongli smiled bitterly. Hearing that, Su-yi's face also ached. The moonlight on the horizon quickly turned into Yun Jing's face. In his eyes, the whole courtyard became warm. Su-yi couldn't help but recall the charming scene in the cave. That was the most beautiful scene in his life. That day, Yun Jing used the power of the Wood Heaven Suppressing Stone to refine the Water Heaven Suppressing Stone. She saved him from overusing the mysterious light ball. That night, the two of them were in a daze and couldn't help themselves. Now that he thought about it, Su-yi's heart was filled with warmth. "Ear, do you know why I made such an agreement with you at the Heavenly Wind ranking? To let you die in the Yun family within 3 months?" Yun Zhongli said faintly. Su-yi shook his head. That day, Yun Zhongli threw out a clue about Yun Jing in front of everyone and asked if he knew her. Since then, everyone thought that the Yun family wanted to kill him. On one hand, of course, I wanted to hide from the Long family and protect Jing Yuan's son, which is you. On the other hand, I wanted to test you. Yun Jing is missing. If you dare to go to the Celestial Cloud sect, it means that you truly love Yun Jing. I believe that you will spare no effort for Yun Jing. Of course, I love Yun Jing. I miss her very much every day. Su-yi blurted out. Yun Zhongli smiled faintly and took out a blood-colored jade pendant. He handed it to Su-yi and said in a deep voice, "Then I can tell you these words. This is Yun Jing's jade pendant?" Su-yi looked at the dazzling jade pendant in his hand and trembled slightly. Yun Zhongli smiled and nodded. He said, "This blood-colored jade pendant was made by Yun Yunra, the master blacksmith of the Yun family. That day, your mother gave the Wood Heaven Suppressing Stone, which is the Wood Soul Pearl, to Yun Jing. It helped Yun Jing to break through her body and reactivate her talent. Since then, I have found that the wood heaven suppressing stone is the source of life and the root of essence chi. Anyone who has been recognized by the wood heaven suppressing stone is inseparable from it. Although she has infinite power and outstanding talent, if she uses the wood heaven suppressing stone to save others, her essence chi and cultivation will be severely damaged. Yin Zhongli pointed at the jade pendant and said, "There are two blood-colored jade pendants. First, it can prevent Yun Jing from using the energy of the wood heaven-suppressing stone. Second, it can let me know if Jinger is still alive." Seeing that there was only one blood-colored pattern left on the jade pendant, Su Yi could not help but tremble. "Jinger used it once and was scolded by me. Now, she gave it to you for the second time." Yin Zhongli smiled. Hearing this, Su Yi's hand unconsciously trembled slightly, and his throat rolled. There was only one blood-colored pattern on the jade pendant. Did it mean that if the last blood-colored pattern disappeared, Yun Jing would also? Chapter 22:20. When he thought up to here, he couldn't help but feel anxious in his heart, and his gaze fluctuated rapidly as he said anxiously, "Jing, where exactly is she? I also want to know." Yun Zhongli sighed heavily and said with a bitter smile, You know all these things now? The Long family is the obstacle we must overcome. If Jing, is really in the extraterrestrial realm, only you can help me find Jing, after we destroy the Long family." After decades of cultivation, Yin Zhongli naturally knew how far away he was from the half-step Yuan Tian realm. If there was really someone who could surpass the heavenly barbarian realm, it could only be Su Yi. Su Yi took a deep breath and looked at the moonlight. It was as if he could see Jing smiling like a flower, waiting for him silently. The battle with the Long family must be overcome. Only then can I be at ease to find my mother and Jing. Su Yi pondered. The Long family in front of him had become a mountain between him, his mother, and Jing. Suddenly, Su Yi thought of the disappearance of his mother and Jing, with the wood heaven suppressing stone. Although there was no evidence, if Jing was also taken away by the green-robed woman, the green-robed woman came for the wood heaven suppressing stone? Su Yi turned to look at Yun Zhongli. Yun Zhongli didn't say anything. He had such a guess before. Without seeing the green-robed woman with his own eyes, no one knew why the green-robed woman came. This answer can only be found in the extraterrestrial realm. Yin Zhongli's eyes trembled. Let's destroy the Long family first. I must go to the extraterrestrial realm, Su Yi said with determination. His abyss-like eyes shone brightly. Only Su Yi knew that he had to go to the extraterrestrial realm no matter what. Because there was a deeper secret in the extraterrestrial realm, the mystery of the Demon King. Su Yi, who only wanted to solve the problem in front of him, found that he might have fallen into a bigger mystery after coming out of the Nightmare Ocean. If the extraterrestrial realm was the path he had to go through, then the Long family must be destroyed. Beside him, Yun Zhongli was also slightly excited. In the remaining time, Yun Zhongli and Su Yi discussed that when the army's plan was completed, the ancient sect would find a way to deal with the old man in the extraterrestrial realm. Then, they would attack the Long family together with Su Yi. The sky was slightly bright. Under Yun Zhongli's gaze, Su Yi rushed out of the cloud Immortal ancient sect with Bodhi Immortal in tow. Brahma Dragon, Celestial Palace, Dragon God Palace. Puff! Long Quang closed his eyes to recuperate. Thick dragon, might Taoist runes lingered in front of him. Suddenly, Chi surged in his body. A mouthful of blood spurt out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! Why can't I open the secret territory? Long Quang opened his golden eyes, and a golden light flashed through them like a beast's eyes. At that moment, Long Ao had already returned from the Golden Dragon Mystic Realm. Not only had he failed to make any progress, but he had also been seriously injured by the dragon Might of the Mystic Realm. Bang! Grand Elder Long Kuei was trembling in fear as he glanced at Draconis from time to time. The huge pressure made Long Kuei's blood boil, and his old face was flushed red. At this moment, Long Kuei had already reported everything that had happened recently to Long Yang. In the Chaos region, Draconis had told Long Kuei 3 things. The first was to find the Golden Dragon bloodline and use it to open the Golden Dragon's secret realm. The second was to continue looking for the Duanmu Qingtian. The third was to destroy the Bawang sect and find Su Yi. Now, Su Yi had not only returned to Sky Barbarian, but he had also destroyed the Holy Mountain and married the 9th Holy Maiden, Lu Ruashi. After that, the Long family sent people to find Han Wulong and Zhong Yunkong, but they were strongly opposed. The few deacons they sent were all dead, and their granddaughter Long Yu was also seriously injured. As for the Duanmu Qingtian, there was still no news about him. There was no trace of him in Sky Barbarian. Long Kuei reported the situation in fear. He looked at Draconis, who took a deep breath and said softly, "I underestimated that boy. He even dared to kill the deacons of the Long family." Long Kuei stood up and asked doubtfully, "Dragon God, are you saying that Han Wulong is so powerful because of Su Yi? But why would Han Wulong listen to him?" Draconis' eyes were fierce, and his voice was as deep as an eagle's. He said coldly, "Han Wulong has always been on good terms with Su Yi. Don't forget that there is the Yutian Palace in Cloud State. If it were not for Su Yi's support, would Han Wulong dare to kill the Long family?" Long Kuei froze and said with a trembling voice, "Other than the Yutian Palace, what is Su Yi hiding?" "Duanmu Qingtian. Duanmu Qingtian is in the Yutian Palace?" Long Kuei suddenly opened his eyes. Long Kuei smirked and waved his hand. His voice was wrapped in vitality and said faintly, "No matter who his backer is, no matter if the Duanmu Qingtian is in the Yutian Palace or not, Su Yi's growth has already threatened my path to becoming a god. Duanmu Qingtian is no longer important. I want to become a god as soon as possible. I can't give Su Yi and the Yutian Palace any chance." "Then what about Wild Owl? He has waited for more than 20 years for the Duanmu Qingtian." Long Kuei asked. "Elder Kwang and we have a cooperative relationship. We want to find the Duanmu Qingtian, and he wants to find the Duanmu Qingtian. We are here for the heaven-suppressing goldstone. Why is Elder Kwang looking for the Duanmu Qingtian? He hasn't said anything. Will he become our enemy in the future? Can you handle it?" Draconis said in a low voice. Long Kuei nodded and said, "Dragon God, you mean to stop looking for the Duanmu Qingtian and kill Su Yi to become a god as soon as possible?" Draconis smirked and said coldly, "Since we can't enter the Golden Dragon's secret realm and the Yutian Palace doesn't dare to go up, the Duanmu Qingtian is no longer important. I can find another way to become a god." "All right, how is Yunling Feng?" "Almost there. Young Palace Master has already let him in." Draconis nodded and said, "What's left is to find a chance to take the Golden Dragon bloodline in the world and clear out the obstacles like Su Yi and Elder Kwang, Yutian Palace, Bawang sect, and the others. I will take care of them all. Let the Sky Dragon sect and the Divine Tiger sect hurry up and capture Su Yi. If the Yutian Palace dares to interfere, my Long family will be destroyed in advance. As for Elder Kwang, he will have to wait until he becomes a god." Draconis said. Immediately, Long Kuei took a step forward, rolled his eyes, and said in a low voice, "If you want to deal with Elder Kwang, I know where the exquisite egg that he longs for is. We can make use of it. Is that so?" Draconis' eyes flashed coldly. Immediately, Long Xiang's voice rang out from the Divine Dragon Palace. Space rippled as he said softly, "Go to the Tao Alliance tomorrow." Da-da-da. Huge dragon carvings circled above the large pillar. The Dark Dragon God Passage was like an abyss of death. Draconis requests to see Senior Wild Owl. Draconis' voice was trembling. If someone heard it, they would be so shocked that their eyeballs would fall out. Chapter 22-21. In this world, there was actually someone that Draconis was afraid of. Cough, cough. An old voice slowly sounded. Although the voice was weak, one could still tell that this person's cultivation was definitely higher than Draconis' by a level. No wonder Draconis was so afraid. "You still haven't found that Origin Sky Realm kid?" After saying that, the old man hiding in the dark coughed. All of a sudden, a terrifying soul energy surged out along with an extreme black fog. Draconis's dragon's aura surged out and was pushed back hundreds of meters by the terrifying wind. He clutched his chest and said with some pain, "Senior Wild Owl, I'm still looking. I'm afraid that Duanmu Qingtian hasn't returned to Heaven Barbarian Continent." You still don't know that kid's background? Trash. Wild Owl was very dissatisfied. In the dark, the fierce wind was like a turbulent wave. Bang, bang. A sharp blade slashed through Draconis's clothes and made an ear-piercing sound. Then, Wild Owl said, "I'll let you do two things. First, that kid. Second, find another rainbow exquisite egg for me." You didn't do it. You don't even know which faction this kid is from. Draconis was silent. Then, a fierce light flashed his eyes, and he said coldly, "Senior, please calm down. Draconis is working hard to find it. I believe that there will be results in a few days. I have some clues about the exquisite egg." Where? The terrifying voice was like a ghost's roar, shaking the sky. It could be seen that Wild Owl's desire for the exquisite egg was very strong. After more than 20 years, he found another exquisite egg. Even he couldn't believe that it was real. Yes, but this person is heavily protected. Give Draconis some time, and he will definitely be able to help you recover your strength. After that, Venerable Wild Owl didn't say anything else, and he just said with slight satisfaction, "I don't think you dare to act rashly. You can use the secret technique I gave you before." "Thank you, Senior." After retreating from Wild Owl, the pale Draconis clenched his fists. His usual majestic aura suddenly changed, and a ruthless killing intent swept out. "Old man, you're so cautious of me. When I'm done with you, I'll definitely kill you to vent my anger." After that, Draconis returned to his residence. His gaze focused, he kept thinking about the conversation with Wild Owl. If you didn't care about Duanmu Qingtian so much, I wouldn't think that Imperial Palace is so terrifying. You want to know the origin of Duanmu Qingtian? I definitely won't tell you. Then, Long Xiang stomped his foot on the ground, and golden dragon pattern cracks spread out. For no reason, the entire Dragon God Palace erupted with a fierce aura. What secrets is the secret? The scorching sun was high in the sky. Today was an excellent day. The golden sun was extremely dazzling, and a huge fireball filled the entire world with golden light. On a long road, a young man and a young woman were walking leisurely. They were Su, Yi, and Bodhi, Celestial, who had come out of the Ancient Cloud Celestial Sect. The Ancient Cloud Celestial Sect was located in the sky above the Endless Sky Sea region. It was located at the corner of the Boundless Continent and the Central region. The Chaos region was located in the west of the Central region. Therefore, Su-Yi used the Ancient Cloud Celestial Sect to return to the Chaos region. At this moment, Su-Yi had passed through the small path from the beach where he had met Jihan Nua and reached the main road. Revisiting the old place, Su-Yi couldn't help but feel emotional. That day, he had been forced to do nothing by the sacred fire and had escaped death to return to the Chaos region. That had started his magnificent life in the Chaos region. It could be said that the Chaos region was the place where he had truly made his fortune. "Master, is this the Chaos region?" Bodhi Celestial smiled. Su-Yi nodded and looked at the spacious main road. He said in a low voice, "This is the most barbaric place in the Sky Barbarian world. However, it is also the place where humans and barbarian demon beasts live in harmony. There are no rules, only force." But today, the Chaos region was unusually quiet. Su-Yi frowned as he sensed something strange. "Bodhi, something is strange. Let's hurry to the front." After saying that, the faint light under their feet moved rapidly. After crossing a few mountains, they saw many people from the scattered forces running outside in groups. They seemed to be running for their lives. Did something happen here? Bodhi Celestial asked as he looked at the people running for their lives. Su-Yi didn't say a word. He had sensed the seriousness of the situation and frowned. He had a feeling that the Chaos region was no longer the same as before. Boom! At this moment, the ferocious roar of a hornless dragon resounded through the clouds. The earth-shattering roar of a beast turned into ripples in the air and blasted a huge hole in the mountain. Su-yi could see that it was the direction of Xianjian faction. Swoosh! Su-yi couldn't care less. He didn't have time to ask the scattered forces what had happened. He rushed towards Xianjian faction. Arg! At this time, Jihanhua, whom Chun Xiaobei had not seen for a long time, was confronting a group of rogue cultivators. The blood on the ground had gathered into a river. The long trail of blood had turned the entire Xianjian faction into hell. The stench of blood and flesh filled the air above Xianjian faction. No one would have thought that a third-rate faction like Xianjian faction would end up in such a miserable state. From the mountain path to the top of Xianjian faction, there were corpses of Xianjian faction's disciples all along the way. You bunch of bastards! Don't go near Xianjian faction. Jihanhua was extremely ashamed and resentful. The long gown in front of her was torn apart, revealing her dazzling white collarbone. Her boundless beauty was sparkling and translucent. The aura of the hornless dragon circled around Jihanhua like a dragon. Large amounts of blood flowed down from Jihanhua's chest. Lady of Xianjian faction, why don't you surrender now? Your father has escaped. If you beg me, I might let you go. The rogue cultivator opposite him laughed maniacally with a sinister smile. The creepy laughter echoed through the clouds. Jihanhua pulled her clothes back up. The group of injured Xianjian faction's disciples could not help but take in a deep breath. At this time, Xianjian faction was heavily surrounded. The once majestic Xianjian faction had turned into a bloody hell overnight. Jihanhua's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She stared at the rogue cultivator who spoke just now. Swoosh! Soon, dozens of rogue cultivators returned to Xianjian faction's main hall. Did you find Ji Tianfu? The leader of the rogue cultivators asked the person behind him. When the person behind him saw Jihanhua, his eyes lit up. He said softly, "Old Meng, that old dog, Ji Tianfu, escaped. The primitive emperor of Xianjian faction is still quite strong. However, the evil cultivators are chasing after him." The rogue cultivator who was called Old Meng nodded. He smirked, and his narrow eyes trembled slightly. Suddenly, Old Meng aimed a ferocious aura at Jihanhua and said, "It's okay. Where can Ji Tianfu escape to?" Now, in the entire Chaos region, anyone who is related to Su-yi must die. This is Ji Tianfu's youngest daughter. Where can he escape to? Chapter 22:22. After finishing his sentence, Elder Meng kicked at the entrance of Xianjian faction. Like an evil dragon, Elder Meng kicked at the signboard of Xianjian faction. The signboard that fell to the ground immediately turned into fine powder, and a fierce chi wave made Jihanhua and the others tremble. All of the disciples of Xianjian faction knew that the rogue cultivators in front of them were the most powerful rogue cultivators in the Chaos Realm. If these people were to go to other factions in the Chaos Realm, they would be able to become elders. Listening to their conversation, Jihanhua finally knew that the Chaos Realm was going through a drastic change because of Su-yi. Looking at the crushed signboard, Jihanhua and the rest of the Xianjian faction disciples behind her were enraged. Today, Xianjian faction had a bloody incident, and tomorrow, Chaos Realm would be turned upside down. Jihanhua held her long sword, and her Yuanjun stage cultivation came out like a breeze. She shouted, "Don't even think about using me to deal with my father. You bunch of obedient bastards. How dare you fight with Su-yi? I will kill all of you." Jihanhua's red moon eyes flashed with the will to die. With a shout, the hornless dragon's sword shadow shot towards the rogue cultivator opposite her. Instantly, an extremely heavy cyan dragon shadow floated in the air. The deafening roar of the hornless dragon caused everyone's hair to stand on end and their pores to expand. "Lady!" The disciples of Xianjian faction were shocked when they saw Jihanhua fighting with all her might. All the disciples of Xianjian faction were shocked and devastated. They could only watch as Jihanhua defended them with all her might. Now she too was fighting back. At the same time, the rogue cultivators in front of her looked serious as well. In the invisible and terrifying chi wave, a few of the strongest rogue cultivators could sense that Ji Hanwha had lost all hope and was fighting with all her might. If that's the case, Dai, Elder Meng roared. Suddenly, dozens of yuan chi light rays diffused out, and the earth-shattering spatial ripples turned into continuous light waves that entangled with the cyan dragon shadow. Asterisk bam. Asterisk the remaining disciples of Xianjian faction were sent flying dozens of meters away by the horrifying yuan chi light wave. Finally, a red ray of light shot out from the spot where the light ray collided with the chi dragon sword. A terrifying and ferocious primordial aura surged rapidly, and a storm of energy spread out. Seconds later, the entire hall of Xianjian faction crumbled into pieces. Most of the disbanded cultivators were burned into ashes. The rogue cultivators who dodged quickly also suffered a huge impact. Countless broken arms and legs fell in front of the hall. Looking back at the horrifying scene just now, the dozen or so loose practitioners looked as if they had seen a ghost, staring at the end of the flames in a daze. Unknowingly, a pungent yellow and white substance flowed out from between the rogue cultivator's legs. Miserable cries of pain rang out. At this time, the rogue cultivators who were still alive finally felt the pain. One by one, they hugged their charred, severed arms and legs and wailed. Who is that? The sudden turn of events had sent the disciples of Xianjian faction flying backward in fear. Wasn't it Eldest Miss who attacked with all her might just now? Look, that looks like faction leader Su, shouted one of the disciples from Xianjian faction. After the light dissipated, a green figure could be seen kneeling in the middle of the red light. Ji Hanwha was lying in the arms of the newcomer. When she saw the face of the newcomer, she could no longer hold back her tears and blood. Sui, save me. Save my father. Ji Hanwha looked at the face that once captivated her. Resentment and tears flowed out of her eyes. Sui lowered his eyebrows and pursed his lips. His green face was filled with murderous intent. Hugging Ji Hanwha, Sui knew that Ji Hanwha was severely injured because of the attack just now. If he had arrived a second later, he would have only seen Ji Hanwha's dead body. Miss Ji, Sui's voice was stuck in his throat. His face was as pale as steel. It's Sui. That man is Sui. All the rogue cultivators who were still alive gasped. There were about 20 of them. They had heard of Sui's name. He was the #1 in the Tianfeng ranking station. He was the #1 in the younger generation in the entire Tianan continent. Even the dragon god admired him. Just by looking at Sui from afar, everyone felt an intense pain in their heads. This kind of extremely powerful soul suppression was something that only the strongest could have. Run. That man is Sui. Run. Run. He's too powerful. Origin ancestor. Sui is an origin ancestor. Run. All of a sudden, everyone struggled to stand up. Their eyes were filled with horror. They couldn't even close their wounds and ran away. Sui, who was kneeling on one knee, slowly stretched out his left hand. Kaboom! Instantly, a formless chaos giant palm distorted the void and enveloped the fleeing crowd. Under the terrifying force, the vast and illusory aura made all the rogue cultivators feel that they were powerless. They felt that they were insignificant. Pay with your lives for Xianjian faction. Die. As soon as Sui finished his sentence, he clenched his fist in the air. A terrifying energy storm swept across the area like a hurricane. When the storm swept across the land, all the rogue cultivators who were running for their lives did not have the strength to fight back. They turned into pools of blood and disappeared into thin air. Swoosh! The red pools of blood fell from the sky like raindrops. Murderous aura filled the air, and the clouds were filled with murderous intent. All the surviving disciples of Xianjian sect stared at Sui, who was like the god of death. Their eyes were filled with fear, as if they were petrified. Sui, father. Father is at the back of the mountain. Ji Hanua held Su Yi's arm tightly and fainted after saying that. Taking a deep breath, Su Yi felt his mind go blank. Boiling hot blood rushed to his brain like lava. He stood up. Su Yi looked around and handed Ji Hanua to Pewdie. Pewdie, I'll leave Miss Ji to you. Take good care of her for me. Master, do you need me to go with you? Pewdie frowned. The cruel scene in front of him was too horrifying. There were corpses everywhere and blood was all over the mountain. No need, Su Yi said coldly. Su Yi wanted to avenge Ji Hanua personally. During the alliance meeting, Ji Hanua's confession made Su Yi's heart ache even more when he met the Shifter Emperor. After saying that, Su Yi flew out like a machine and went to the back of the mountain. Looking at Su Yi's back, Pewdie Deity brought the remaining Xianjian faction disciples back to the main hall. There were many old and weak Xianjian faction disciples hiding in the main hall. Many of them looked at Pewdie Deity in despair as if they were looking at a god. Pewdie Deity let out a long sigh and tried his best to heal the injuries of these Xianjian faction disciples. In the distance, the roars of beasts could be heard. Shocking sonic booms could be heard one after another. In the end, a resonant phoenix cry could be heard, and everything fell into silence. Chapter 22-23. At night, the rain of blood stopped for a while. Cloaked in moonlight, a green figure entered with the head of an evil cultivator in his hand. When the crowd saw Ji Tianfu's body being teleported out of the dimensional bag, all the disciples of Xianjian sect looked as if they were hallucinating. Instantly, they were filled with grief. At this moment, it was as if the world had collapsed. Cries and screams filled the entire hall of Xianjian sect. This kind of sadness made Su Yi feel despair once again. The tragedy of Spirit Ancient Village seemed to be happening again. Su Yi walked to the corner and saw Ji Hanua, who had woken up crying. She threw herself onto Ji Tianfu's body and trembled nonstop. Father, wake up. Su Yi is back. Xianjian sect is saved. Ji Hanua was in great pain. The tears on her face had long dried up. Father, I'm Hanua. Don't leave me behind. Ji Hanua's painful cries were like knives cutting Su Yi's body. Why did this kind of tragedy happen again? Su Yi did not say a word. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent as he stared at the head of the evil cultivator. From Ji Tianfu's last words, Su Yi knew that not only Xianjian sect, but also Liu's sect and all the other third-rate forces that were related to him were attacked by rogue cultivators. Who is it that dares to do such a vicious thing? Su Yi's deep eyes revealed a trace of malice. Normally, those rogue cultivators would hide in the depths of the Chaos region. Who would have the ability to gather all these loose cultivators together? And they were all targeting him? Long family. Yes, it could only be the Long family. As he comforted Ji Hanua, Su Yi's mind was running fast. Now, all the sects that were related to him were in such a state. What kind of terrifying situation would Ba Wang's sect be in? Su Yi's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, Ji Hanua's mouth twitched. There was no sign of life on her face. A cold light flashed in front of her eyes. Ji Hanua was holding a short sword and aiming it at her throat. Young mistress, no. All the disciples of Xianjian sect screamed. At the side, Su Yi's expression changed. A ray of light shot out from his finger and shattered the weapon in Ji Hanua's hand. He then hugged Ji Hanua tightly. What are you doing? Su Yi shouted angrily. He was angry that Ji Hanua had committed suicide. Su Yi, let me go. Let me go. Ji Hanua was struggling violently. She closed her eyes and cried in pain. The dead can't be brought back to life. Will your father be happy if you do this? I once promised your father that as long as you are in trouble, I will definitely take care of you. Why do you have to do this? Su Yi shouted angrily. His eyes were burning with anger. Ji Hanua shook her head with all her might. She bit her lips so hard that blood came out. She cried and said, but the Xianjian faction is gone. Father is dead. What's the point of me living? I hate them. Ji Hanua's body went limp. She hugged Su Yi tightly. Big drops of tears fell on Su Yi's shirt. Her delicate body was twitching on Su Yi's chest. Su Yi was moved by this scene. No one would have thought that Xianjian's sect and Ji Tianfu, who saved him, would die because of him. He also did not expect that the entire Chaos Realm would suffer because of him. Don't worry, I will let you take revenge with your own hands. Su Yi patted Ji Hanua's head gently. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The murderous intent quickly infected all the disciples of Xianjian's sect. Revenge must be taken. After comforting Ji Hanua, Su Yi and Bodhi deity walked out of Xianjian's sect's main hall. Under the moonlight, Su Yi could still smell the thick smell of blood in the air. Thinking back to what the disciples of Xianjian's sect and Ji Tianfu said, Su Yi knew that since he disappeared from the Tianfeng ranking tournament, a large number of rogue cultivators had gathered in the Chaos Realm. Initially, these rogue cultivators were looking for trouble with the Bawang sect and other sections. They were secretly looking for Su Yi's whereabouts in the Chaos Realm. Even if the third-rate and second-rate forces knew about it, they would turn a blind eye. They did not know who was the leader of this group of rogue cultivators and what kind of power was behind them. No one knew, and no one wanted to care. It was because of this mentality that this group of rogue cultivators grew stronger and stronger. Until recently, a few powerful forces joined the rogue cultivators and came looking for trouble. All the third-rate and second-rate forces were destroyed. In less than half a month, all the third-rate forces were destroyed by this group of rogue cultivators. Has the Long family started to act? Bodhi deity asked. Other than the Long family, who also want to spend so much effort to find me in the Tianan continent. After saying that, Su Yi looked at the quiet, blood-red forest in the distance and said softly, Draconis, if I don't kill you, I'm not human. Master, should we start our attack on the Long family as soon as possible? Bodhi deity asked softly. Immediately, Su Yi closed his eyes. In his mind, Qi Feihong's voice rang out. Su Yi, you must stay calm. The Long family must have some urgent reason to suddenly attack and want to capture you. At this time, you must not panic. You must protect the Bawang sect's strength and unite all the forces. Only then can you turn defeat into victory. Tomorrow, you must rush back to the Bawang sect and find the Long family's fighters in the Bawang sect. In the dark night, Qi Feihong's words kept echoing in his ears. Su Yi's eyes turned cold. His anger and hatred made him like a wild beast. But Su Yi knew that he could not explode. He must stay calm. The Long family must have asked for help from these rogue cultivators because they did not want to fall out with him. In other words, Draconis was still worried about something. If the rogue cultivators could succeed, there must be a few leading forces in the Chaos territory. Now that he was in the dark, it was the best time to find out who the leading forces were. Openly challenging the Long family was not a good idea. Taking a deep breath, Ji Tianfu's figure flashed in his mind. Su Yi stood on the land of the Xianjian sect. The cold night wind blew at Su Yi's black hair. Tomorrow, I will return to the Bawang sect. If the Long family wants to play, I will play with them. I want them to taste pain. Su Yi said coldly. Bam! An extremely strong, murderous intent gushed out from Su Yi's body. His robes fluttered in the night breeze, as if he was possessed by the god of death. On the second day, Su Yi dismissed most of the Xianjian sect disciples on behalf of Ji Hanua, but there were still dozens of them who refused to leave. Now that the Xianjian sect was in decline, the Chaos territory was filled with bloodshed. There was no place for them to stay. After burying Ji Tianfu in the back mountain of the Xianjian sect, Su Yi brought Ji Hanua and the rest back to the sect. Chapter 22-24. The Chaos region now was truly the Chaos region. Along the way, Su Yi saw many evil rogue cultivators. The cities that were originally occupied by Xianjian faction were now occupied by evil rogue cultivators. When Su Yi once again arrived at the Sword Star City, there was a large group of people inside and outside the city. At the city gate, there was a large group of evil rogue cultivators checking. Su E, the rogue cultivators and the evil cultivators in front of us should be the same group of people. Ji Hanua glared at the large group of people in front of her. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Along the way, Ji Hanua and all the disciples of Xinjian faction were like walking corpses. They were dispirited and listless. Suddenly, Su Yi frowned. He patted Ji Hanua's back and said softly, "Miss Ji, do you trust me?" Ji Hanua raised her head. Her eyes that were filled with tears looked haggard. She nodded silently. Now that Xinjian faction was in decline, Ji Hanua had nowhere to go. To her, Su Yi was the hope of the entire Xinjian faction. Su Yi forced a smile and looked at Ji Hanua. He looked around and said, "Faction leader Ji has passed away. However, we cannot fall because of this. Now we have to find a faction behind the evil cultivators and avenge faction leader Ji." After that, Su Yi pointed at the people in front of them who were shouting loudly and said, "Calm down and try to pretend that nothing happened. There are about 60 to 70 of us here. We will split into a few groups and gather in the city." After listening to Su Yi's plan, the disciples of Xinjian faction nodded. After that, some of the disciples of Xinjian faction put on makeup and pretended to be rogue cultivators who were passing by. Some of them changed their clothes. Su Yi, Ji Hanua, and Bodhi Fairy pretended to be siblings. After giving out instructions, the three of them headed towards the Sword Star City Gate. "Hurry up. Everyone who passes through the gate will be given 1 3-star primordial stone." The leader of the group, a burly man, slanted his face and shouted at the rogue cultivators. Taking advantage of this time, these rogue cultivators who usually hid in the mountains could finally come out and do whatever they wanted. From the performance of the warriors in the past, Su Yi found that even some powerful warriors were angry but did not dare to say anything. This confirmed that the Long family's forces were stationed in the Chaos region. And according to the Long family's character, they would never do anything themselves. So, who were these rogue cultivators in the Chaos region? Not long after, Su Yi and Ji Hanua mixed in with the crowd and arrived near the city gate. With a quick glance, Su Yi was able to discern that amongst these 10+ rogue cultivators, there were a few with deep auras, and their cultivations were around the 5th level of the Origin Void stage. Why are all these evil loose cultivators gathered together? Just who has such great power? Ji Hanua said in a low voice. The three of them glanced at each other and walked towards the city gate with the crowd, as if nothing had happened. At this time, a barbaric demon beast rushed out of the city like fire. Roar! Suddenly, a barbaric demon beast rushed out. Its whip-like long tail dragged on the ground and made a whooshing sound in the air. In the end, it hit the city gate and made an ear-piercing sound. Rumble! A ferocious demonic aura shook heaven and earth as a barbaric aura rushed out. Instantly, everyone stopped in their tracks and their eyes trembled. Sitting on the barbaric demon beast, a demonic man with fiery red hair said with a fierce gaze, "Daoing, have the evil Dao people returned?" At the city gate, the person who was commanding the crowd was called Daoing. He looked at the man on the barbaric demon beast. "Not yet. Counting the time, they should be here. Ji Tianfu, that old fellow, should be beheaded by now. A few years ago, when the profound sword sect chased us into Ghost Howl Valley, they should have thought of this day." Daoing said. "Yes. Ha ha ha. Every dog has its day. This year it's my turn." Beside Daoing, a few similarly ferocious rogue cultivators laughed at the top of their lungs. "Damn it." Ji Hanua grabbed Su Yi tightly with her small hands. Her face was extremely dark. She then said, "I remember now. These people, the one on the back of the barbaric demon beast, is Hua Daoi, who specializes in picking innocent women to practice his evil martial arts. The one called Dao and has also robbed many passers-by. His martial arts are also extremely evil." Hearing this, Su Yi and Bodhi deity frowned. These notorious rogue cultivators had come out. The Long family really knew how to make use of them. Looking into the city, Su-yi thought to himself. It seemed like the mastermind who ordered the evil Dao people to attack the profound sword sect was in the city. At this time, Dowing looked at the man on the barbaric demon beast and said loudly, "Master Hua, are you here specifically for the evil Dao people?" Hua Daoi's voice was dark, and his dark eyes revealed a sense of greed. He said weakly, "Last night, we caught a few more people. Master Hong said that they must have something to do with Su-yi. I interrogated them throughout the night, but I couldn't get anything out of them. I even wasted a night of my time. How lonely." After saying that, all the evil rogue cultivators smiled knowingly. Their blasphemous laughter caused the martial artists present to be filled with anger. "What are you looking at? Hand over the primal stones and get in." Dao and continued to glare at the martial artists. "Let's go." Thinking about Master Hong, Su-yi was ready to go straight to the point. Suddenly, a feminine voice came from the back of the barbaric demon beast. "Wait." Hua Daoi looked at Su-yi with a wicked smile. Suddenly, everyone looked at the source of the voice. Hua Daoi stared at Ji Hanua and said softly, "Little girl, why don't you come with me?" Laughing in his heart, Su-yi stood in front of Ji Hanua and said, "It's broad daylight and you can't hold it in?" Bam! Hua Daoi jumped off the barbaric demon beast and said, "Kid, what did you say?" The corner of Su-yi's mouth curled up. He looked at the crowd and said softly, "Bring me to your so-called Master Hong." "Kid, don't be too arrogant." Hua Daoi roared and rushed in front of Su-yi like a red dove. Where did this arrogant kid come from? Daoin was also unhappy. The golden blade in his hand shot out a ray of light toward Su-yi. Chila. Before he could see clearly, under the origin supreme art, a vigorous rain of blood sprinkled between heaven and earth. More than 10 rogue cultivators were beheaded. Before anyone could react, Dao Ying and the rest of the rogue cultivators' heads rolled to Hua Daoi's feet. He was scared silly by the scene in front of him, and his body was covered in blood. When Hua Daoi gulped, Su-yi had already appeared in front of him like a ghost. "Who is Master Hong?" "Hong Qianlong," Hua Daoi replied in a daze. Su-yi sneered. The one who ordered the rogue cultivators to kill Ji Tianfu was actually Hong Qianlong. Tian Gang sect master's son, Hong Jinxiu, died in Su-yi's hands. Hong Qianlong himself was also ostracized by Tian Gang sect. Chapter 22-25. Ji Tianfu and Lin Jinyang had helped him during the battle with the Heavenly Dipper sect and the Jade Tripod sect. Su-yi finally understood. No wonder the people of the evil path and Hua Daochang hated Ji Tianfu so much. These people were all Hong Qianlong's subordinates. Who are you?" Hua Daochang's eyes trembled, and his voice trembled. The demon emperor looked at Su-yi's face and did not know what to do. There was no answer. Su-yi only smiled and looked at Uncle Hua, indicating for him to look down. Immediately, wails of grief could be heard. The masculine aura that Hua Daochang was so proud of had turned into a pile of mud. Then Hua Daochang's face twitched, and he was sent flying into the city wall by Su-yi. He couldn't be more dead. So powerful. When Su-yi brought Ji Hanua and the others into the city, everyone's eyes were filled with shock as they sucked in a breath of cold air. The shocking sound waves spiraled in the air as if an overlord had personally descended to the world. Following Su-yi's departure, a voice wrapped in violent yuan qi surged into everyone's ears. "If anyone wants to seek refuge in the Bawang sect, the Bawang sect, will accept all of them. From now on, I will be the master of the Chaos region." At this moment, countless people's faces were filled with ecstasy. Tears of excitement flowed out of their eyes along with shock. "It's Su-yi. Oh my God. So that person is Su-yi. The Bawang sect's genius Su-yi. He's actually so young. Go, go, go. Su-yi is back. The Chaos region is saved." They had never thought that the Chaos region would be so chaotic. They had also never thought that the cultivators, who usually licked blood on the tip of their blades and refused to obey each other, would be bullied to this extent by these evil cultivators. Su Yi's return finally gave them hope. The people who had witnessed everything were still staring at Su Yi's back in a daze. It was as if no one had expected that the Chaos Realm would be united because of Su Yi's return. He could only blame Hong Qianlun and the people behind him for being too despicable. Whistling and running, a large number of warriors chose to enter the city and follow Su Yi's footsteps. Most of the cultivators chose to tell this amazing news to the other cultivators who had been forced to flee for their lives. The Chaos Realm was saved. In an instant, undercurrents surged in every corner of the Chaos Realm as countless cultivators rushed towards the Bawang sect. On the other side, when Su Yi entered the city, the bustling Sword Star City was now desolate and lonely like a dead city. Su Yi, is Hong Qianlun really here? Ji Hanua's frightened eyes kept darting around the city. As far as the eye could see, the shops in the city had long been smashed into ruins. Smoke filled the air, and the smell of blood was thick. Looking at the despair on the faces of the cultivators and civilians who were still in the city, Su Yi's heart suddenly sank. A medium-sized city could become so dilapidated in such a short time. Even Su Yi had to admire Hong Qianlun and the others' abilities. Hong Qianlun must die. This was the only thought in Su Yi's mind now. When he destroyed the Big Dipper sect, he should not have let this guy live until now. Although the Chaos Realm was not a kind place, seeing so many people suffer for no reason because of him, Su Yi's anger instantly erupted like magma. Phew, let's go and ask. Su Yi took a deep breath and walked to a corner with a gloomy face. At this time, a cultivator was curled up with a painful expression. It was obvious that he was seriously injured. Just a knife wound on his right leg was enough to cause people to raise their eyebrows, revealing the eerie white bone. It was really terrifying. Narrowing his eyes, Su Yi took out a bottle of mysterious grade pills from his chest and stuffed it into the cultivator's hand. He said, "Brother, take this first. Were you also harmed by Hong Qianlun and the others?" The cultivator looked at the mysterious grade pills in his hand, and a trace of light flashed in his gray eyes. He immediately said, "Thank you, sir." As he spoke, he swallowed the pills and pointed to an even more terrifying vitality scar on his chest. He said angrily, "In the past, those who talked about the Big Dipper sect were all repaid by Hong Qianlun one by one. Damn it, I hate that I'm useless. I originally wanted to come from the Central State and learn from the King of Heaven's pride." His voice paused, and the cultivator sighed. A trace of helplessness flashed on his painful face. Behind him, Ji Hanua and Bodhi Immortal's eyes trembled. It turned out that this person in front of them also worshipped Su Yi. "Then do you know where Hong Qianlun and the others are in the city now?" Su Yi tried his best to suppress his voice, but to the injured cultivator, there was still a huge pressure. His eyes flickered, and the cultivator swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He signaled Su Yi to the west and said, "They occupied the city lord's mansion, and the people they caught yesterday are still hanging outside. It said that there are people from the Bawang sect inside." Bang! Hearing this, Su Yi's teeth were about to shatter. His starry eyes flashed with incomparable killing intent. He threw down the 3 bottles of mysterious grade pills and said coldly, "After you're healed, you could go to the Bawang sect to find me. Tell me my name." Looking at the phantom flying away like a flaming butterfly, the injured cultivator was surrounded by the soaring medicinal fragrance. He said in a daze, "That person is... he's Su Yi." Bodhi Immortal smiled. He and Ji Hanua looked at each other and quickly caught up with Su Yi. On the spot, only the red-faced cultivator was left. His injuries were no longer important. "Su Yi. That's Su Yi. The Chaos region is saved. I can enter the Bawang sect." In the empty and dilapidated street, a burst of frantic and excited laughter suddenly erupted. It rushed into the clouds and shook the heavens. Following this, when Ji Hanua and Bodhi Immortal rushed to the City Lord's mansion, their eyes flashed with hatred and killing intent. In front of the City Lord's mansion, a large platform had been set up. On it, the cultivators caught yesterday were hung in a row. It wasn't just the male cultivators. Many of the female cultivators had been stripped of their clothes and were being roasted under the scorching sun. Before they could get close to the wooden platform, Bodhi, Immortal, stopped Jihan. With her unusually sensitive spiritual sense, she immediately discovered that there was a spatial restriction set up by the Origin Ancestor Realm cultivators on the platform. Looking at the miserable state of the crowd, Jihan covered her mouth and exclaimed. She couldn't believe that Hong Qianlong would actually do such evil things. How despicable. We should tear these people into pieces. Kill them all. Jihanua's body twitched as she was blocked by Bodhi Immortal behind her. Her eyes were filled with tears. In the next second, the cry of a phoenix resounded through the heavens and earth. The huge shadow of a phoenix was like a courtyard that covered the sky and the earth as it instantly rushed onto the platform. Boom! The power of the divine beast collided with the spatial restriction. The latter instantly melted and turned into resplendent fire crystals that filled the sky and scattered in all directions. Who's there? The group of rogue cultivators guarding the platform, as well as the cultivators from the City Lord's Mansion and the Gimdeo sect, shouted when they saw this. As soon as they finished speaking, an extremely determined and murderous roar suddenly sounded from within the flames, causing the crowd to tremble in fear. Chapter 22-26. So. Countless retreating figures filled the air. In their shocked eyes, they could only see the fiery red palm shadows filling the sky. Blazing fire, heaven's net palm. Die! A fiery wind shot out from the palm, and in the sky, space began to crack and distort more and more. Continuous screams shook the void, and in less than a second, the space covered by the fiery red palm was like a fireball, erupting with a terrifying energy storm that swept out like a hurricane. When the storm had not even spread 1 meter, all the screams stopped abruptly. The hundreds of rogue cultivators guarding the stage were instantly turned into people on fire, and after struggling for less than a second, they collapsed to the ground. Peepa! The sound of explosions rang out incessantly, and the air was filled with a thick energy and a strange smell of meat. So strong. In the distant void, many cultivators didn't dare to move half an inch forward. Is this the power of the king of heaven's pride? Too strong. Heavenly Wind's #1 person is too terrifying. Their eyes trembled, and they sucked in a breath of cold air. Looking at the energy storm sweeping across the sky, and the space turning into nothingness, they couldn't calm their hearts for a long time. At this time, the injured young cultivator had also rushed over. Looking at the blazing ball of light in the distance, his heart was filled with shock. He couldn't care less about his injured thigh, and he staggered to a stone pillar, his eyes trembling. The fiery light on the stage had already disappeared, and Su-yi, who was wrapped in a divine light, revealed a pair of murderous eyes. The cold killing intent was like a sharp sword, freeing everyone in an instant. Bodhi Han-Nua, save these female cultivators. Su-yi's eyes were solemn, and from his cuffs, more than a dozen bottles of mysterious grade-high level pills were tossed out like beans, falling precisely in front of each of the injured cultivators. The cultivators who were already weak struggled to open their eyes, and hot tears filled their eyes as they thanked Huang Xiaolong profusely. Thank you, King of Heaven's Pride. Su-yi sucked in a deep breath. Today's chaos in the Chaos Realm was caused by him. At this time, Su-yi swore in his heart that he would purge the Chaos Realm. The Long family still had a soldier in the Chaos Realm, and he would kill them all. The Brahma Dragon Celestial Palace had finally pointed their spear at him. Could it be that he was just going to sit and wait for death? Looking around, Su-yi's aura expanded once again. The ferocious ancient aura was like a creeping giant beast, and his voice reverberated through the heavens and the earth. All the martial practitioners present, once I resolve the crisis of the Bawang sect, you can come and join the Bawang sect. The doors of the Bawang sect will always be open to like-minded people. The blazing and incomparable voice carried with it an impressive heavenly might that shook the void, following which the entire Sword Star City erupted with a thunderous sound. Looking at Su Yi on the stage, Chi Fei Hong, who was hiding in the mysterious bell, nodded and said, "Misfortune is a blessing in disguise, and a blessing in disguise. Draconis, you think you're smart. You want to stir up chaos in the chaos realm and force Su Yi to jump out himself. I'm afraid you're just making a wedding dress for Su Yi." And Chi Fei Hong's words, in the end, might really come true. While they were talking, the martial artists were all carried off the high platform. In the corner, a martial artist with his head lowered seemed to have fainted. Su Yi immediately rushed to the martial artist's side. "Brother, how are you?" Su Yi frowned. When this martial artist raised his head, countless waves instantly surged in Su Yi's heart. This martial artist was none other than Sun Hao, who had joined him after the Holy Mountain Academy. "Sun Hao, why are you here?" Su Yi blurted out, and without any explanation, he poured in a few strands of water attribute Yuan Qi. When the Yuan Qi entered his body, his meridians were abnormally blocked, causing Su Yi's heart to quickly sink. His internal organs were like an empty shell. Most of his meridians were broken, and his dantian was damaged. The hatred in the heart of the person who did this was obvious. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Su Yi quietly healed Sun Hao's injuries and finally reversed Sun Hao's consciousness. Looking at the familiar face, Sun Hao's paper-white face squeezed out a weak smile, and he instantly spat out a large mouthful of blood, saying, "Boss Su, I didn't say anything. No matter how Hong Qianlong forced me, I didn't say anything." Su Yi's nose turned sour, and he nodded heavily. He fed a small mouthful of spiritual liquid to Sun Hao's mouth and coldly said, "How did they catch you?" Sun Hao's head kept sinking like rice. His palm pressed against the ground, and he weakly said, "Shadow Hall disciples must travel outside for 2 years. My performance was good, and in less than a year and a half, I was summoned back by Lord Wu Chong." It turned out that this was Sun Hao's first time carrying out a mission in the Chaos Realm. It just so happened that he ran into Hong Qianlong's momentum, which was why he fell for it. After drinking the spiritual liquid, Sun Hao's injuries were temporarily suppressed, and he was taken away by Bodhi, Immortal. Su Yi instructed, "He and I have a close relationship. Help me take care of him." Bodhi Immortal was a plant-type brute demon beast and had a natural talent in healing. Hearing this, he nodded. And at this time, above the sky, a fierce voice like a wild dragon resounded through the clouds, aiming at Su Yi's position. Raising his eyes, Su Yi didn't need to think to know who had come. "There was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it, and there was no door to hell, but you came to hell. With a light step, a powerful heaven's might that blotted out the sky and covered the earth rolled out. Under the fluttering of his green robe, Su Yi's divine light shone even brighter, as if a god had descended, looking up at the few figures above the sky. Hong Qianlong, who had not been seen for a long time, was dressed in black, and his eyes were evil. He looked at Su Yi as if he had seen his prey, and he shouted, "Su Yi, you destroyed my Big Dipper sect and killed Jian Xiao. Today, I can finally avenge myself." Amidst his maniacal laughter, boundless waves spread across the sky, and a huge spatial whirlpool instantly condensed beside Hong Qianlong, as if everything was going to be engulfed by this suction force. Second level of origin ancestor realm. Su Yi muttered to himself, with Hong Qianlong's situation, how could he rise from the 8th or 9th level of the origin emperor realm to the origin ancestor realm? With a sneer, Su Yi crossed his arms. Since Hong Qianlong couldn't escape, he sneered, "Is the Long family's stinky feet so easy to lick?" Immediately, Hong Qianlong and the Big Dipper sect's experts behind him looked serious, and their sinister expressions only made it more obvious. They said resentfully, "Kid, are you afraid? Are you spouting nonsense here?" Looking at Su Yi, who was leisurely in the sky, Hong Qianlung's gaze was almost crazy. Suddenly, a vicious and terrifying palm print quietly formed in front of him. A dog will always be a dog. Even if it joins the sect, it can't become a human. Su Yi sneered, and then no longer held back, the surging flame aura around him instantly resounding through the sky. With a sound wave in the sky, Su Yi appeared in front of Hong Qianlung like a phantom. With a light step, he shot murderous intent at Hong Qianlung. Chapter 22-27. With regards to Su Yi's arrogance, Hong Qianlung would never have thought that the former had already reached the 7th level of the Origin Ancestor stage. Suddenly, the black light in Hong Qianlung's palm soared into the sky. His gaze instantly turned ferocious as he shouted loudly, "Go to hell! I'm going to kill you!" With a roar, the terrifying whirlpool shook crazily like a tentacle. Suddenly, a huge black ball of light accompanied by a vast and mighty aura enveloped Su Yi like a thunderbolt as it galloped forward. Boom! With a loud explosion, the violent energy accompanied by Hong Qianlung's terrifying rage instantly enveloped Su Yi. Whoosh! Suddenly, a monstrous black energy came out from the whirlpool in front of Hong Qianlung. Behind Hong Qianlung, the 3 Heavenly Dipper sects powerhouses shouted one after another. At that moment, the 3 of them were in one body. The Origin Ancestor and Origin Ancestor's energy directly shattered the void, as if they were going to completely destroy and devour Su Yi. As the black energy rippled in the space, Hong Qianlung stood above the space with an evil smile on his face. He looked around and shouted loudly, "What are you going to use to fight me? Su Yi, today is the day you die." The extremely terrifying energy caused countless living beings in Sword Star City to feel agitated in the depths of their souls. They stared blankly at Hong Qianlung in the sky with the same thought in their minds. How did Hong Qianlung suddenly become so strong? Below, even Ji Hanoa, who was dressing the female martial artists and treating their injuries, suddenly narrowed her eyes. She knelt on one knee as her gaze trembled violently. As her gaze followed Hong Qianlung, her heart was also torn apart. Her sorrowful thoughts turned into waves of ripples and drifted away. Ji Hanoa's tears flowed like a fountain as she said softly, "Su, be careful." At that moment, Bodhi Celestial Moon's eyes narrowed as the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He casually glanced at the sky and patted Ji Hanua's shoulder. "Miss Ji, don't worry. Master's power is beyond your imagination." After speaking, Bodhi Celestial continued to treat Sun Hao as if there was no one else present. Only Bodhi Celestial knew that Su Yi was the reincarnation of a demon emperor and even had the golden dragon phoenix bloodline to protect him. He was at the 7th level of the Origin Ancestor realm and could easily crush those of the same level. What was there to worry about? As soon as he finished speaking, under countless shocked gazes, a lazy but murderous voice came from the surging black energy. "So much for licking your stinky feet. How pathetic. Can you fight? Let me teach you." "What?" Hong Qianlung's eyes bulged as he shouted loudly. At that moment, the 3 people from the Heavenly Dipper sect, including Hong Qianlung, narrowed their eyes at the same time. Within the black ball of energy, an ancient aura spread throughout the world. The crisp and clear cry of a phoenix was deafening, causing one's eardrums to hurt. Immediately afterward, a dazzling fiery red light spread throughout the world, emitting a terrifying temperature that even souls couldn't withstand. The powerful and overbearing Emperor Sparrow's flame seeped out from the black light. A terrifying aura quietly spread out. "What's going on?" Hong Qianlung turned pale with fright. Hong Qianlung's hands felt as if they were burnt. However, the arrow had already been shot out, so there was no reason for him to take it back. The Emperor Sparrow's huge body expanded once again. In the dazzling light, the divine bird spread its wings. The divine light burst forth with dazzling light, and the sparkling fire rushed toward Hong Qianlong like a sharp sword. In an instant, the entire space in front of Hong Qianlong started to sizzle. Hong Qianlong hurriedly retracted his palm power, ignoring the fishy taste in his meridians, and retreated as if he had been electrocuted. Rumble! Under the Emperor Sparrow's flame, an ancient aura surged. Along with the fire sword, the blazing energy instantly burned the two elites behind Hong Qianlong into nothingness. Between the heavens and the earth, the divine light glistened like divine chains intertwining with each other. The King of Sky Prides is fine. This aura, is it from a peerless elite? Oh my God, is that the King of Sky Pride's origin energy manifestation? Is that the divine beast phoenix? The King of Sky Prides is invincible. I want to go to the Bawang sect. I want to be a disciple of the Bawang sect. Looking at the miraculous figure of Su Yi, every corner of the entire Sword Star City was trembling and boiling. The crowd surged, and the sound waves reverberated throughout the universe. At that moment, everyone's anger erupted from the raging flames that burned everything in the world. No matter how much evil they had done in the past, compared to Hong Qianlong and the others, they were already considered good people. Everyone was angered, and the heavens and the earth would slaughter them. In the sky, Hong Qianlong, who had retreated a few hundred meters along the ripples in the space, was stunned. He looked at Su Yi, who was in the divine light, and said in shock, "How did you break through to the origin ancestor stage?" Hong Qianlong, who had retreated, was shocked. His deep, vicious eyes were trembling nonstop. He was already at the second level of the origin ancestor stage, but he couldn't see which level of the origin ancestor stage Su Yi was at. Instantly, Hong Qianlong glanced at the chest of the white bones, and his heart was filled with shock. On the opposite side, the vast golden-red raging flames slowly converged, and heaven's might circled the heavens and the earth. Su Yi looked at Hong Qianlong from afar. His killing intent was as deep as the abyss, and his entire body emitted an incomparably sorrowful and cold aura. He said, "Now, it's time for you to pay the price for your evil deeds. Kill him. Kill Hong Qianlong. Annihilate the entire Tiangang sect. Destroy him, King of Geniuses. Avenge the innocent martial artist who died in the Chaos region. Burn him to death. Hong Qianlong, this bastard is worse than a pig or a dog." Insults and curses were incessant. The martial artists and citizens of Sword Star City could no longer contain the raging flames in their hearts, and they cursed loudly. "Ha!" Hong Qianlong glanced sideways at the raging flames around him. With a wave of his long robe, an invisible, terrifying energy spread out, and a blood-red elixir was swallowed by Hong Qianlong. Suddenly, the black energy in the air gathered again, and the wound on his chest healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "I never thought that the 6-een violent demonic elixir that my lord gave me would come in handy so quickly. Su Yi, you're still too inexperienced. Compared to me, you're far from enough." Hong Qianlong stared coldly at Su Yi. As soon as he finished speaking, Hong Qianlong took off his long robe. Amidst the raging aura, a dark talisman pattern lingered around his body. Suddenly, Hong Qianlong's aura skyrocketed, and a cold, black energy spread across the sky. Hong Qianlong's aura skyrocketed again by 5 levels, and he quickly reached the 7th level of Origin Ancestor stage. The Iron Soulfish's voice rang out from the entrance of Su Yi's body. The Iron Soulfish said, "Why is there a 6-een violent demonic elixir here?" Subsequently, Su Yi lifted his head slightly, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Although Hong Qianlong's strength had skyrocketed, he had overdrafted his Origin Ancestor stage martial artist's origin energy. In other words, Hong Qianlong was fighting with his life on the line. Looking at Hong Qianlong's evil energy and dark talisman pattern, Su Yi's eyes showed no fear at all. Su Yi was just curious. The elixir that the Long family had given Hong Qianlong this time was really strange. The Long family possessed the Golden Dragon bloodline, and they were considered a divine beast clan. How could they have such a vicious and evil elixir? Chapter 22-28. In the sky, Hong Qianlong's pitch-black figure quickly ascended into the sky. He looked down at Su Yi and said loudly, "Su Yi, do you dare to fight outside with me?" After he finished speaking, an undetectable light flashed in Hong Qianlong's sinister eyes. His entire body surged with black light, dark and gloomy. "Su Yi, don't go." Ji Hanoi appeared in the sky, and everyone's eyes trembled. "King of Geniuses, don't go. Hong Qianlong, this bastard, is trying to trick you." The injured martial artist's voice rose as he shouted at Su Yi. Suddenly, all the spectating martial artists from Sword Star City felt their hearts in their mouths. It was obvious that Hong Qianlong was no match for Su Yi. However, Hong Qianlong's strength had suddenly skyrocketed, but he did not continue to fight. Anyone with a discerning eye knew that Hong Qianlong was implying something. Sect leader Su, just kill Hong Qianlong. Don't fall for his trick. If you want to fight, fight here. Hong Qianlong, are you shameless? You can't beat the King of Geniuses. Are you going to ask for help? That bastard from the Big Dipper sect has been beaten by the King of Geniuses again. In the sky, curses swept across like a hurricane. The crowd was furious, and the crowd surged. "Presumptuous! All of you shut up." Hong Qianlong waved his long robe, and a cold aura suddenly erupted from his eyes. The aura of a 7th-level origin ancestor was cold and terrifying. Hong Qianlong was furious in the face of the criticism and insults from Sword Star City. If Su Yi was not here, these people would have died under his hands. Hong Qianlong's eyes were ferocious as he glared fiercely at the spectators from Sword Star City. He immediately flashed to the top of the city wall and shouted loudly, "Su Yi, you little brat, if you don't dare to fight with me outside the city, admit defeat as soon as possible." Upon hearing this, killing intent surged in Su Yi's heart as he stood upright in the clouds. The archaic aura around him also spread out. At this moment, Qi Feihong's voice was heard. "This brat is up to no good. It must be a trap. We're not afraid of fighting, but you should think about it yourself." Qi Feihong frowned, but he also looked at the horizon without the slightest care. Even if Hong Qianlong had 100 different methods, he still wouldn't be a match for Su Yi. A ripple flashed across Su Yi's eyes as he pondered. Hong Qianlong had suddenly proposed to fight outside, so he definitely had a backup plan. Su Yi wanted to find out who else was behind Hong Qianlong. He wanted to know who else the Long family had recruited from the Chaos region. Wasn't Hong Qianlong just going to look for help? Wasn't he just certain that he wouldn't dare to go? Go! How could he not go? In this battle, Su Yi wanted to establish his might in the Chaos region. He wanted to cleanse the Chaos region and slap Draconis in the face. Suddenly, Su Yi's eyes lit up and he sneered. "Why wouldn't I dare? Could it be that a beast could beat a human? Don't forget, if I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. You want to rely on external forces to defeat me? Dream on." The ferocious heavens might rolled over as Su Yi's figure pounced forward. The flame shadow behind him rose again and charged toward Hong Qianlong. Phoenix cries shook the sky as the blazing energy dissipated in front of everyone's eyes. The King of Geniuses finally followed him. The injured young martial artist stomped his foot angrily, but this time most people didn't follow. Sigh. The King of Geniuses is still young after all. What are you talking about? The King of Geniuses is bold because of his skills. Yes, if the King of Geniuses can return safely, I will follow him for the rest of my life. All kinds of voices resounded through the sky as they discussed Su Yi's back view. Bodhi Celestial looked at Su Yi's back view and immediately released a ferocious soul suppression. It was accompanied by rolling sound waves that spread across the sky. "Everyone wait for orders. My master will be back soon. The might of the Bawang sect. Please wait and see," Bodhi Celestial said. The demon domain realm Bodhi, Celestial's face was indifferent and cold. As soon as his voice fell, he continued to heal everyone. The great majesty in his every action quickly conquered everyone present. At this moment, everyone present looked in the direction that Sui had left in, their eyes filled with anticipation. No matter what the result was, in this battle of Sword Star City, Sui had already won. He had won completely. Boom, boom. Outside the city, high up in the sky, two terrifying Origin Chi light balls were chasing after him. Behind him, killing intent surged in Sui's eyes. The Emperor Sparrow divine flame that blotted out the sky and covered the earth spread between heaven and earth like a tornado, covering the sky and the sun. Damn it, how can this bastard be so fast? Hong Qianlong, who was in front, became more and more anxious. He was clearly in the lead, but being followed by Sui at a steady pace, the pressure in his heart made him very frightened. Bam! Then, Hong Qianlong flew out with a black light. The monstrous aura was instantly dissolved by Sui's flames behind him. Continuous sonic booms exploded in the sky. Bam! 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 The terrifying energy set off endless ripples in the space. Hong Qianlong took the opportunity to use the shock wave to rush forward again. In fact, what Hong Qianlong did not know was that if Sui wanted to chase, he could catch up at any time. How could Hong Qianlong compare to Sui, who had reached the large success stage of Fuyao 100 transformation steps? However, Sui did not want to. If he caught up with him, Sui would not know the power behind him. Is that all you've got? You're not even good enough to be a holiday rat. Sui's voice was calm, but carried supreme heavenly might. It was like a heavy hammer hitting Hong Qianlong's mind. Suddenly, Hong Qianlong's black body staggered forward. His astonished eyes once again showed some shock. Hong Qianlong screamed at his heart. Is Sui an osprey? Once again, Hong Qianlong gritted his teeth and rushed toward the mountains in the distance. The terrifying black energy swallowed everything, and his aura became stronger again. In less than a quarter of an hour, the two of them finally arrived at a valley. If you don't show yourself now, when are you waiting? Hong Qianlong stood in the middle of the valley and formed a mysterious hand seal. Suddenly, the strange black energy shrouded the sky again. The light was dark and dazzling. Stopping his footsteps, Sui also secretly circulated the supreme art of origin. The phantom of the divine bird behind him once again expanded, like a divine bird descending from the heavens, looking at the changes in the sky that could happen at any time. Rumble! Suddenly, a distorted space tunnel formed above Hong Qianlong's head. Following Hong Qianlong's roar, a black mass of people rushed out from it. The void shattered instantly, and an extremely domineering aura spread out. Endless vitality light seemed to want to destroy everything in the mountain range. Sui, we finally meet again. There was no reason for the fluctuations in the sky. The sky was already covered with dark clouds. At this time, thousands of martial artists appeared. Sui followed the source of the sound and looked in the direction of the sound. The corners of his mouth curled up. He put his hands on his waist and said, "Oh my, I was wondering who it was. Isn't this by Zoom, Mr. by Old Dog? When did you get together with Hong Qianlong?" Chapter 22-29. In the sky, Hong Qianlong had already arrived beside Baizun and stood side by side with him. As the great elder of the Blood Sun sect, one of the top 3 forces in the Chaos Zone, it was ridiculous that he was hanging around with a stray dog. Baizun, who was wearing a blood-red robe with broken patterns, blinked his old eyes. His withered face exuded a ruthless aura as he said faintly, "You're still as sharp-tongued as ever. Kid, today will be the day you die." As soon as he finished speaking, Baizun's 2 fingerprints pierced through the sky. A terrifying aura that made one feel despair enveloped his body. A strange black energy that was similar to Hong Qianlong's surged out from his sleeves. Second level of the Origin Domain Realm. Chi Fei Hong, who was inside the chaos zone, sniffled and stretched. He said coldly, "These fellows in the chaos zone have been working behind closed doors all day. Draconis has given them some benefits, and they've become so arrogant. They can't achieve anything great." After hearing Qi Feihong's words, Su Yi's gaze turned slightly solemn. Although Luo Yunyang was unforgiving with his words, he still had to think twice when he saw that more than half of the Origin Emperors and over 100 Origin Ancestor powerhouses were in the sky. Draconis, that bastard. He's really putting in a lot of effort to create chaos in the Chaos Zone. After taking a deep breath, Su Yi raised his eyebrows. Suddenly, his arms trembled and two ancient energies surged into the sky. Wherever they passed, the space rippled like waves and rapidly shook. Su Yi calculated his combat strength. If these people really fought, Su Yi would not be afraid. However, Su Yi's great void spirit ocean would be exhausted again. Use the chaotic Yuan Bell? Su Yi shook his head. There was no need to use a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. At this moment, Su Yi gradually calmed down. He was extremely grateful to Duanmu Qingtian. The special training in the Three Crow region was useful. When he returned to the Sky Barbarian realm, he was not afraid of being surrounded by so many people. In other words, how strong were the people outside the Sky Barbarian realm? Bang! With a flash of light, Su Yi arrived in front of Baizun in a flash. Su Yi tilted his head and looked at Baizun. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he said coldly, "You have been looking for me since the Alliance Conference. I haven't settled this debt with you yet. Why are you looking for me?" Immediately, Baizun's gaze changed slightly as shock flashed in his eyes when he saw Su Yi's 7th level Origin Ancestor stage aura. Su Yi had left the Chaos region for such a long time. "I never imagined that you would actually be at the 7th level of the Origin Ancestor stage. I should have killed you all those years ago." Baizun's voice was filled with envy. Su Yi's insane speed of improvement made Baizun, the half-buried old man, feel ashamed of his inferiority. "Cut the crap. Kill him. All of Su Yi's secrets are yours, as long as you give me his head." Hong Qianlong once again shot out a terrifying black halo. Instantly, the black energy spread wildly and a thunderous energy explosion resounded in the sky. Su Yi sneered and stretched lazily. He nodded at Hong Qianlong and said, "Remember this. You were the one who said you only wanted his head." Instantly, Hong Qianlong was slightly shocked. Baizun, who was standing beside him, shouted, "Everyone, kill this brat. Kill!" Boom! An earth-shattering explosion resounded in the sky. Above the void, thousands of Origin Qi radiances suddenly shone brightly. The terrifying energy that was mixed with monstrous killing intent instantly enveloped Su Yi. "Kill this brat." Hong Qianlong and Baizun looked at each other and laughed hysterically at the same time. Both of them did not believe that Su Yi was so capable that he could withstand the attack of thousands of people. Looking at the sky, the ferocious radiances set off ripples in the air. The pressure that shot into the sky made everyone unable to resist it. Their hearts palpitated and their auras collapsed. Even their souls trembled. Bang! 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 When the thousands of Origin Qi radiances converged at one point, the terrifying radiance instantly turned white. The vast aura ruthlessly tore the ripples in the sky into half. Everything within a radius of 10,000 feet was affected. Mountains shattered and exploded one after another, and rivers were displaced. In the sky, the scorching heat caused heavy rain to fall. The rain was huge, and the aura was terrifying. Su Yi is finally dead. Baizun laughed hysterically. His eyes trembled as he looked at the terrifying attack of thousands of people. At the very least, Baizun knew that he would not be able to fight back if 1,000 people were to attack him. "No, I'm going to stab him." Hong Qianlong's killing intent erupted like a flash flood. Once again, the black energy radiance spread out and aimed at Su Yi. It was heading toward the huge shockwave. "Die, Su Yi!" Hong Qianlong shouted. The black radiance that contained the ultimate energy of Hong Qianlung's 7th-level ancestor stage cultivation seemed to be able to destroy the 9 heavens. In the next second, all of the powerhouses felt the true terror. Baizun's eyes were trembling. Hong Qianlung, who was charging toward Baizun, rebounded rapidly as though he was hit hard. He retreated a few thousand meters. Buzz, buzz. In less than a blink of an eye, thousands of dazzling energy radiances dispersed. It was as though they had hit a terrifying solid body. A thunderous explosion swept out along with a terrifying primordial aura. The deafening sound of metal could destroy one's soul. In the vast void, thousands of radiances that were reflected hit the bodies of the people who had released the energy. The radiances tore their bodies apart. The martial artists who were protected by origin chi were torn apart like leaves. As far as the eyes could see, blood rained down from the sky and covered the mountains and rivers. Many people did not even have time to react to what was going on before their heads were separated from their bodies by 5 horses. Instantly, the space exploded like a volcanic eruption. Thousands of bodies were torn apart. The severed limbs were like decorations on the mountains. A rain of blood drifted down like scarlet-red divine water that descended from the 9 heavens, and every single drop of blood revealed a mysterious and strange aura. The scene before his eyes was too terrifying. Even though Baizun was far away, he could not understand what was happening. Thousands of martial artists were killed in an instant. How did Su Yi unleash such a terrifying attack? Would he be able to do it if he was at the 2nd level of the origin domain stage? The boundless blood-red raindrops were still drifting down. The entire sky was dyed red. The blood-red sun could no longer describe the scene before his eyes. Shrill screams filled the wilderness. The terrifying sound of flesh being torn apart shook the mountains and rivers. This was the world of the god of slaughter. This was the heaven of the evil spirits. Baizun wiped his blood-stained face through the veil of blood rain. His eyes were filled with astonishment. All Baizun could see was that Su Yi was enveloped by a sacred and domineering giant bell. Light runes filled the air. Under the sacred light, Su Yi's eyes were cold and solemn. He was looking at Baizun as though he was the god of death. That is, Baizun was in disbelief. The aura of a 2nd-level origin domain stage was nowhere to be seen. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.